It is Warrior Wednesday.
The ferocious optimist.
Great to have you guys here. Welcome to Warrior Wednesday. It is the Ferocious Optimist podcast. I'm your host, Ben Pappas. Great to have all you guys here. Hope you're ready to rock and roll. We got a big show today. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. So get the damn emoji hands together and let's get ready to rock and roll. Here we go. So great to have you guys here. Warrior Wednesday, as always. Got a lot of stuff to talk about. So as I talked about inside the thumbnail, okay, and inside the title as well too, we talk about $20,000 beat $35 million. It was 3:30 in the morning, June 9th, off the coast of Oman. A U.S. Army Apache attack helicopter is flying a routine patrol over the Strait of Hormuz. The aircraft costs around $35 to $40 million, okay? It's one of the most advanced flying machines, period, human beings have ever built. And then an Iranian Shahed drone hits it, okay? A $20,000 drone. That drone's $20,000. It's built from off-the-shelf parts, navigation chips, a satellite receiver, a small engine, bolted to a simple airframe. The Apache goes in the water, okay? Now, both pilots survived, thank God. They got out, and here's the part that almost nobody reported. 2 hours later, they were pulled out by a U.S. Navy drone boat. Okay, you guys probably heard about this, and this is a couple months ago, but I'm bringing it up because the $20,000 drone brought it down, all right? Not a catastrophic kill, but it brought it down. $35 million helicopter. And a drone then pulled the crew out. In fact, I just heard something from Jamie Dimon, the CEO of JP Morgan, talking about we're now trying to get drones to deliver food. Okay, and so because you're getting inside of a 3,000 to 4,000 pound car with all the gas, all the energy, instead you have this small drone that can deliver the same meals, same groceries, things like that. Okay, things are changing. The drone that took down the helicopter and then a drone rescued the crew. That was 2 months ago. All right, most people filed that away as a bad day, but a lot of people, I think actually a lot of people didn't register the fact of something's changing. There's a lot changing, okay? It was this whole war in one sentence, and it explains almost everything that happened this week as well, too, okay? I'm going to get to it. Stick with me. We're going to talk about the Iran war. We're going to talk about Russia legalizing Bitcoin. We're going to talk about AI, and we're going to talk about the U.S. economy and affordability where we are right now, all right? And due to the war as well. And the asymmetry that's happening, the asymmetric movements and currents that are out there today, okay? Because here's one thing that morning actually proved. The most expensive thing on the field, okay, is no longer the most powerful thing on the field. This is different. This is a change. And that's not true just in the Persian Gulf, okay? I'm here to tell you it's also proving true in your industry and my industry right now today. Okay, so this is very, very important for us to take away and to realize things are changing. And as I've said before, you can either recognize the change and adapt to it, or you can continue fighting it and be left behind. Okay, we're going to talk about that as well too. And like I always say, you make up your own mind, all right? So 3 things happened this week, big things, all right? Most people didn't really see these. Some of them are quiet. Some of them quietly happen because they're drowned out by the other noise. Most people saw 3 separate stories. I'm going to show you why these are actually all connected. A shipping lane in the Persian Gulf is still shut down. Nobody can agree on how to open it. Okay? Vladimir Putin signed a law this week. Signed a law 8 days ago. Okay, actually. Russian companies can now get paid in Bitcoin. Imagine that. There are lots of reasons for it. I'm sure you'll all be in the chat talking about it. All right. And the CEO of the biggest bank in America, Jamie Dimon, said out loud that if we stop being the strongest military and the world's strongest economy, both at the same time, the dollar will stop being the world's world reserve currency. Okay. It'll stop being the world's money. These are not 3 stories. It's actually one story. I'm going to show you why, okay? And it starts and really started with the $20,000 drone. And I want to say something right up front because you're going to hear the opposite all week, all right? And I want to say this. America is not finished. That's not my message here. We're not close to finished, all right? We have the strongest economy on earth still. We have the deepest capital markets. We have the best universities, the best technology. We must continue to lead technologically. I firmly believe that, okay? We may not like some of the direction it's going, and we can regulate that. Leadership can change that, okay? And we still have the most talent, and we attract the most talent. We want to keep it that way. We need to keep it that way. None of that is going away as of right now, okay? What went away and is going away that is changing, that we need to adapt to, is the playbook, all right? We're running a strategy built for 20 years ago to 30 years ago. That's my take, all right? Some people can disagree with me. That's my take. We're running a strategy that's anywhere from 15 to 30 years old, okay? In a world that really stopped working that way. And even a wrong playbook run by good people will still lose, okay? Now, if you got the wrong playbook and the wrong people, it's going to be more dramatic, all right? You decide on that. You make up your mind. But it's fixable. It's all fixable, but only if we're honest about it, okay? So I wanted to say it again. America's not out of strength. We're just out of the right plan right now. We need to make some adjustments, in my opinion, right? I always talk about strategy. Strategy is what we focus on. This channel is all about leadership, decision-making, analysis, trying to upgrade our lives by looking on the world's biggest case studies that are in our faces right now, like the Iran war, like the economy, like geopolitics with Russia and Ukraine, U.S. and Iran, okay? All of these things, domestic policies, domestic economy at home in the U.S. We try to glean leadership lessons from it. It's not a political channel. I'm not going to tell you how to vote. I'm not telling you who to get angry at. You can do that all on your own. You could click on another channel. I'm sure you'll find out plenty of people for that, okay? So you make up your own mind, but we are going to deep dive into why decisions were made, how we can make better decisions, what we can learn from these leadership case studies for our own lives, okay? So here's where we're going tonight. First, we're going to talk about what actually happened in the Gulf this week, okay? Talking about it clean, no spin. Second, I'm going to talk to you about what it's costing you right now at the pump, in the grocery store, in the freight bills, in your supply chain, plus what's still coming, okay? Third, the money question. We are going to talk about Russia and Bitcoin, how they legalize that, why. We're going to talk about Jamie Dimon, what he sees, and whether the dollar is really slipping, okay? And fourth, this is the part that really matters for you. AI. We are going to talk about AI. Like I said, you might not like it, and it doesn't really matter because it's coming, okay? If you don't care about AI, but AI cares about you, and we need to be aware of where it's going, where the decision points are, where the trends are, so we can stay ahead of it, okay? Where are the big predictions right now? Where do they actually stand, and how to get on the right side of it? So stick with me to the end today, because I'm going to give you a 4-step system for AI. We're going to talk about this, okay? 4 good things that you can take away, a little bit of a system that most executives will not figure out for another few years, in my opinion, okay? And I'm going to give you a few things, 3 things that AI can never do for you. That's where you as a human being, can amplify your skills, your abilities, and who you are to take advantage of wherever the trend is going. And you know what? And these are actually the 3 things that your job actually is. So stay with me to the end. You're going to have a clear read on the world and one move that you can make this week to improve your situation. So let's go ahead and get going right now. Tell me where you are watching from. I want to see I know where some of you are watching from, but I want to see in the chat, where are you guys watching from right now? And as you type that in there, I'm going to give some shout outs. We got Lady Ann in the chat. What's going on, Lady Ann? First pole position right now. Great to have you in there. Mark is there. What's going on, Mark? Great to have you. We got Lisa Jones in there. What's going on, Lisa? And we have got Travis. What's going on, Travis? So invest now. We'll talk about that, okay? We got Gwendolyn. What's going on, Gwendolyn? Good to have you. And we have Keith. What's up, Keith? Good to have you there. Sir Brains and Gains going on. Sir Brains and Gains, good to have you, man. Glad you're there. Glad you were in here joining us. Let's see who else is here. And we got Buff. What's going on, Buff? Good to have you. And let me see. And who else is here? We got Julia. What's going on? Julie Hahn. Good to have you, Julie Hahn. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you for the 10 jewels of floating heart. That's awesome. And let's see who else. Paul's in here. What's going on, Paul? Good to have you. Frosty. What's up, Frosty? Juan Wick's up in here. What's up, Juan Wick? Good to have you. All right. We're going to get this thing going right now. Tell me where you guys are calling in from. We got Montana. Watching from the moon. What's up, Cedric? I hear there's supposed to be some cool lunar activity, some activity out there. It's going to be really great. John's calling in from Texas, southeastern Oklahoma. Never surrender freedom. Love it. We got Lady Ham from California. Mark's from Pittsburgh. And I know where you're at, Lisa. DMV Iron Gym in Alexandria, Virginia. Awesome. That is probably the best gym on the planet. Fantastic. Juan Wick, the platoon is here. That's great, man. All right, let's go ahead and let's get this thing going, everybody. First of all, before we do, we're going to give a big round of applause for the best chat in YouTube, like we always do. Big round of applause for yourselves. Everyone put your hands together. Best chat in YouTube. It's just not me saying it, everybody. It's everyone that comes in here and says, this chat is so cool. They're so supportive, very respectful, very kind, all that stuff. And I don't know what else you can want, right? You don't want to get in a battle when you get in the chat every time. You want to go have some fun, have good conversations, build a community, and that's what we're doing here. So, and if you're not a member right now, I'm going to give a shout out to all of our members, but join our membership, okay? The link is in the bio. It's in, in the channel. You just go ahead and join. Great to have you. Get access to over 40 members-only videos that I have, and also you're helping to spread and grow the Ferocious Optimist message and movement, growing our movement. And so let's go ahead and do that. Big round of applause for all my members out there. All right. Put the emoji hands together. Everybody fired up. Big round of applause for yourselves. And I want to give a big round of applause also for all my gold and also for all of my platinum members. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. Going above and beyond. Thank you so much. We got Freedom Cherry, we got Buff, and we have, I got to see if I can say this one right. Hold on one second. I am going to check and see exactly how to say this for my newest platinum member. Let's see. Hold on one second. We got to do this. Got the newest platinum member here. If I can find it. How to do this, guys. Hold on one second. Rust Civil 302. 302. I got you. Rust Civil. Awesome. Thank you. Welcome aboard. Welcome to Platinum. Great to have you here. Big round of applause for Gold and Platinum members. All right, guys. And as well, I do have some members-only videos, okay? Some members-only videos are only for Gold, only for Platinum as well, too. So to get full access, obviously you can go ahead and get a Gold membership, a Platinum membership as well, all right? But I appreciate all of you guys, all your support. I appreciate your time, you showing up here. And that's what it's all about, participating and contributing to our movement, our mission, and our message, spreading the Ferocious Optimist message, okay? And again, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share if you're new here. It's awesome to have you. The more people we get subscribing, the better chance I have of getting guests on the show that are outside of my circle, okay, outside of my network. They see what we're all about. They see, how dedicated everyone is, how many subscribers we have, and they say, okay, I'm going to go ahead and jump in there. So it always helps out, and I appreciate you guys spreading the word for sure. Let's go ahead and get into this thing. I want to also say, too, I apologize for being a little bit late getting this thing scheduled, but I don't know what was going on. I'm just going to tell you, YouTube was not letting me schedule it. It's 2 times in a row. It failed to schedule the live stream, to actually get the live stream locked in and scheduled. It took me like 7 times on Monday. Today it took me 3 times. I have no idea what's going on, but finally got it to stick. I restarted, all that stuff like that. So anyway, here we are. Awesome to be here. Let's go ahead and get this thing going right now. We're going to flow into our first part of this, okay? Put the emoji hands together, fire up the energy. And yeah, we're talking about some serious stuff, but you know what? It's always good to have good energy and a good attitude going into anything you're trying to learn, anything we do. All right, so let's go ahead and get it going. Put the emoji hands together. All right, here we go. So we are going right now into the Gulf, the Persian Gulf, right? Going into the Iran war, the last 7 days, what has been going on? So I'm going to give you some of the ground truth here. I want to tell you that, first of all, the coverage has been a little bit sloppy. It's been back and forth. You've seen it in the news, okay? Where things stand right now. Obviously, we started on February 28th. It's now 5.5 months old. We're almost getting on 6 months, ladies and gentlemen. As I told you, I hope I'm wrong about the ground war, but chances go up the longer we stay in this thing. I'm just saying, okay? The Strait of Hormuz is still closed for practical purposes, for any purposes, as far as you all know, all right? That strait carries 1/5 of the world's oil and a big share of its natural gas and a lot of other things for fertilizer, a lot of important items, okay? Here's the number that tells you everything. Before the war, about 130 ships passed through that strait on a normal day. On August 4th, 5th, and 6th, tracking data showed between 8 and 15. Not 80, 8 to 15, okay? Let's go ahead and pull up the Strait of Hormuz tracker. I think it's going to be important to take a look at and see where we are sitting right now. So here's the tracker. Right now it is closed. Closed since February 27th is what it says, 166 days ago. 166 days closed. You can see there are now 51 vessels waiting. 16 ships transited in the past few days, as I said. We've got over here Brent crude oil prices. Okay, what has happened? On 13 August, we are down. Now, if you can look at this, what's very interesting to me is how, look at this graph. The new normal at the bottom of the graph is $88. Okay? So, if we look at where this was all the way back in February or January, we were down to $66, $65 per barrel. It is historically, regularly up a new standard at $88 a barrel right now. And this is with barely any fighting going on. You can see we peaked up at 89 just a day ago. It's going up and down, up and down, up and down. Okay, all the way to over here where it's $92, $93 a barrel. And you keep on scrolling. It spikes up according to Rhetoric. Here's $102 per barrel. It goes over 100 on the 23rd of July when there was more fighting, more attacks, more strikes. Okay, so definitely the words from the leaders, from the world leaders, from President Trump, from the Ayatollah, from the IRGC, and the actions we take and they take move this quite a bit, which is all tied in together to our affordability at home, which I'm going to get to. Okay, we're going to talk about this as well too. All right, and I'm going to pull up also the marine traffic tracker, which I don't have yet. I'm going to pull that up right now. Let's take a look at this. Here we go. It's coming up. All right. And here we are in our marine traffic tracker, just so we can add some more evidence to see, are things actually closed? Are we being lied to? Well, we just look at the Strait of Hormuz tracker. It's an independent tracker. It's closed. We can see here what's actually coming through. This is the ships that have tags on them. These tags are tracked, okay? And so this is how this website is created. This is an independent website. And let's go ahead and look in. And we can see right here a big glut of red triangle oil shipping tankers, right? Oil tankers are red triangles. Shipping cargo ships, cargo containers are green. A whole mass of them is built up here trying to go in and get oil. They're not trying to leave with oil. They're trying to go in, okay? So it shows some flow has happened. You don't see a ton of oil tankers stuck. You see some near Iraq, up this way near Kuwait and Iraq, but you don't see a whole bunch near Qatar and UAE. Saudi Arabia, if you look here, keep looking at the tracker, everybody, just to get our situational awareness. Always in the military, one thing we do when we're doing large level strategic briefs, if I'm briefing a general or an admiral, or I'm briefing, a strategic leader, even the president or vice president, I want to go from big to small. I want to go from the strategic picture, the major big movements that are occurring strategically. And then we're going to pull it on down. That's what we're going to do tonight as well, too. Down into its critical, essential elements at the tactical level so that everybody's tracking. We know what's going on in a large scale, globally, strategically, with the war, and then with, oil flows and the economy. What are the big pieces moving? And then we're going to get down to the little critical details and break down each of our chapters tonight. Okay, so if you look here, you can see the Strait of Bab el-Mandeb is open. Oil is flowing. Cargo is flowing. This is where the Houthis are, right? The Houthis are here. Actually, I had reports recently. I'd seen reports that Al-Qaeda is actually fighting the Houthis in Yemen. I don't know if that's some side bargain that our intelligence agencies have made with them, or if they are Saudi-backed due to being other Sunni Islam militias and fighters, that they have an ideological connection to Saudi Arabia. Al-Qaeda does. Osama bin Laden was from Saudi Arabia originally, okay? So that may be the case, but we may also, I'm sure, have some push from the CIA as well, too, or other intelligence agencies to counter the Houthis in their their black ops world of terrorist world, things like that. So, but you can see Straits of Bab el-Mandeb are open. From what I heard also, the Houthis realized they were getting pulled into some kind of a death match and decided not to play that game. They probably made a deal with Saudi Arabia, got some money, I'm sure, or something like that. Saudi Arabia, you can see here, is having their oil flow and get loaded on cargo ships and go through the Red Sea, go through the Suez Canal, or go south through the Straits of Bab el-Mandeb. And that way they are bypassing the problems that the Iranians are causing in the Persian Gulf. Or I should say this, the problems that have been caused in the Persian Gulf, and the Iranians are trying to close them, and the U.S. blockade, the whole thing at this point, okay? That's where we stand strategically on that. And so let's talk a little bit more about this, okay? Last week, the market thought a deal was close, and we could see this again in what we see in market movements here. Guys, stay with me. This is very important. It's important for us to understand when we think there's a deal, we see from President Trump and the Trump administration, yeah, I think there's a deal, I think there's a deal. When clearly all of us normal citizens, regular people see Iran saying, no, there's not, we're not talking. And they'll launch a Shahed drone, or they'll launch an attack or a missile, okay, or something. And they cause some type of attack or some kind of a problem. We see there's no deal. They say we're not even talking. President Trump will say, no, they call us, they want to talk to us. And I don't know who's calling who, but it doesn't appear to be there's any deal going on, okay? But what is the reason why probably they talk about these? Because they're trying to manipulate the oil markets, the markets overall, okay? And so you can see whenever there's talk of a deal, the price of Brent crude goes down, right? The price of Brent crude goes down. When we have no talk of a deal, it goes up. When there's action taken, kinetic action, fighting, the price goes up, okay? So that's why we see a lot of that happening, where we are saying one day this sounds like a deal, other day is not a deal, all right? So last week, the market thought we were close to a deal. Iran and Oman had worked out a plan, or so they said. Ships going in would use Iranian water. Ships going out would use Omani water. Ooh, wow, that sounds great. This is why I'm on this right here. Everyone else, zoom in a little bit. You can see what they're talking about. Okay, so we're zooming in on the map. So on the way in, they'd use Iranian waters. On the way out, they'd use Omani waters, I think is what they said. Yeah, they would stay, local tankers heading east would stay on Oman's side. That's a real fix, right? Then on Sunday, Iran's foreign minister said the strait doesn't open until Washington eases sanctions, pays for war damages, and the most recent one was, I think, yesterday. They said, and all U.S. forces withdraw from the region. This is the same type of demand that Osama bin Laden was making out of Saudi Arabia and out of his cave in Afghanistan. Okay, the demands that Al-Qaeda always had, that U.S. forces leave the region or else we are totally at war with you. Okay, not going to happen. Not going to happen. Why they would tank any idea of a deal, I do know. Can you tell me in the chat why you think? I'll tell you what I think. I know, and you know, they want to drag this war out. We're going to get to that in 1 second here, okay? On Monday, the president's answer was the mirror image. He said the U.S. would want payment from Iran. We're going to take payment from you to pay for the war damage before talks could start. So we put it right back in their face. And we need to understand, this is not a Middle East problem. That's a negotiation problem. They're talking past each other, not recognizing each other's interests, okay? And you've seen it in your own conference room, at your own level, in your own families, in your own relationships, in your own businesses. You've seen this, okay? Both sides just made the other side surrender the price of admission, okay? They're both talking past each other. They're saying, oh, you're going to have to pay that. Well, no, you're going to have to pay it. Well, that was my demand. Well, now it's my demand, okay? How many times have you seen that? It's like childish, right? But that's where we're at right now, tit for tat. Both sides now have a public position that they cannot walk away from, okay? Not without looking like they lost. This is where things get more difficult, okay? Remember, deals don't die from disagreement. They die from stacking up positions that nobody can walk away from, nobody can retreat from, because there's a process interest, and they have an interest in the process. in how they look during the negotiation to their constituents, to their people, to the people they're trying to lead, to the people that vote them into office, the people that prop them up in their office on the IRGC side, right? Every position you take in public is a door you have to close in private, okay? So you can't back away from it, all right? Let's take a look at this next video. I think this is important to see. So like I said, why are they doing this? Why is Iran then saying, okay, no deal until you pay us, we control the straits, and now also all U.S. forces out of the region? Let's watch and see, okay? Here is something, not that one. Here we go, right here. Little something I found on X, okay? An IRGC general says Iran will stretch the war past Trump's term while the Navy's most overworked carrier begs for relief that has no date of relief to stop, okay? Iran's plan is no longer a theory. A senior IRGC advisor told PBS that the strategy is to prolong the war until we get to the next term of the presidency, adding that America's military proved weaker than Tehran expected. This was the fear I talked about. This is the fear that Admiral Studeman talked about, right? That they always were worried. The Ayatollah said, don't make them release all hell on us. And then all of a sudden, we released all hell on them, even though arguably nothing changed. Some people say it did. Arguably, we could say it didn't. All hell was released. And they said, it's bad. It's really bad. We kicked the crap out of them, destroyed tons of stuff, right? Killed all their leaders, killed their second line of leaders. I'm not going to say it wasn't that bad. It was really bad. But when he says weaker than they expected, he means he thought probably they really would be totally destroyed, IRGC gone. And that didn't happen. They're still there, okay? So the general said they're weaker than Tehran expected and that Iran builds missiles faster than it fires them. Got to do a quick celebration here. We've got Gwendolyn just joined Bronze. I appreciate you, Gwendolyn. Welcome aboard to Bronze. Everybody put your hands together. We take care of this stuff right in the moment on this channel, okay? And until it gets overwhelming. But here we go. Big round of applause for Gwendolyn. Welcome to Bronze. You're a friend of the Ben Pappas channel. Great to have you. Appreciate you supporting the mission and the message. Thank you. All right, everybody. So that's where we're at. And let's listen to this. We're going to listen to this general here right now, okay? He says he thought we are weaker than he thought. And here we go. Listen up. Here we go.
As the war with Iran continues its uneasy stalemate, we hear now from a top advisor to the overall commander of Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, the force largely responsible for border and internal security. The U.S. and many other nations have designated it a terrorist organization. The IRGC, as it's known, rarely give interviews and almost never to Western media. But Commander Mohammad Reza Nakhti sat down this morning in Tehran for an exclusive interview with special correspondent Reza Sayah.
Commander Nakhti, thank you very much for sitting down with us.
By the way, guys, a lot of these things I don't watch ahead of time because I want to react in the moment with you. So instead of this being like me purely teaching or, me trying to tell you things I've found, I want to react to a lot of these things with you to get your take, get my honest, unvarnished take on it. And if I'm wrong about things sometimes, so be it. Okay, but I think it's more powerful, more effective. You guys get my actual reaction. So just so you know that. I don't really watch these things ahead of time. I find the topic, the title, what I think is good. I look at a little bit of a summary, and then I put it in. Here we go.
It is
Sayah.
Commander Nakhti, thank you very much for sitting down with us. It has been a long-running policy of Iran's Revolutionary Guard.
I just want to say, I think Hegseth would kick him out of the military. He'd be like, no more fat generals. You're out of here. All right, sorry, I couldn't help it.
Never speak to American media. What changed? Why did you agree to sit with us?
In the name of God, the most gracious, the most merciful, we never received a request to reject it. We would like for our voice to reach the ears of people in Western countries. It's Western media that don't like our voice to be heard. There's nothing we do that's indefensible and outside the values of humanity that we would want to cover up or not discuss.
I mean, that's total BS, right? Okay. I mean, they're responsible for a lot of stuff that's bad. But just understand, this guy's basically like a general public affairs officer for the senior IRGC commander, okay? So as you hear this, listen critically, open your mind to what he's saying, but you got to listen critically and understand that this is all a big propaganda game. Always. Okay? So listen to what he's saying. Let's go.
Gus.
Let's talk about this war. Where do you see Iran in this juncture of the war? Do you see yourself as winning? Are you in control?
Certainly, victory is on our side. After the defeat of America's two main objectives, the toppling of the leadership and the breaking up of Iran, we saw.
Okay, these were never main objectives. You guys know, if you've been with this channel for a while, if you haven't been, welcome. Welcome to have you here. Great to have you. But as you know, I've gone over this live on air probably 7 or 8 times. I've gone over President Trump's original speech, why we went to war, what we're trying to do, okay? While it was a very strong desire that the people rise up and overthrow the regime, okay, it was never a stated goal. The stated objectives were very clear. Number 1, Iran can never get nuclear weapons, all right? That is a bold, very hard to do strategic goal. In fact, unless you do regime change with a big ground war and you go in and get all the stuff and you occupy, it might be impossible. I'll just say that, okay? So of all the things, of the strategic objectives that I'm very critical about, and you guys know that, I've analyzed this, and it was never stated as officially what the policy is. The policy was, it was a nice to have. Like, oh, and the people should rise up because you'll never get a chance like this again, okay? Number 1, no nuclear weapons. Number 2, destroy their ballistic missile capability, okay? And number 3 was to sever the ties to the proxy forces to end their support of Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis, all the other cats and dogs like that, okay? All of their proxy forces, which incidentally probably means the Badr Corps and the Muqtada al-Sadr, the Mahdi militia in Iraq, which is going to be next to impossible to do as well too, okay? So out of the 2 out of the 3 are almost, to me, almost impossible tasks. Maybe severing the ties to the proxy forces or reducing them is possible, not probable, but I will say the ballistic missile degradation and destruction, that capability is definitely more clearly defined and more doable, okay? But what he's saying here is propaganda. We never said that to the two objectives. Clearly, they must not have TV there, no pun intended. They must have no internet, no pun intended, because we smashed them so much. The U.S. smashed them so much, okay? I'm not trying to make it sound like I'm still in the military, but since the U.S. smashed them so much, maybe he doesn't know. But let's listen again, because he's conflating what our actual objectives are to what the propaganda out there is that will hurt President Trump and hurt the administration. And again, you guys know I am politically independent. I'm not going to tell you to vote for, okay? I'm very critical of the Trump administration right now for the war. But again, this is not a political channel. I'm doing it as leadership case studies analysis. And I'm not going to, sling in mud, stuff like that, unless it's deserved for some of the more nasty stuff that's coming out. Okay. All right, here we go.
Certainly, victory is on our side. After the defeat of America's two main objectives, the toppling of the leadership and the breaking up of Iran, we saw confusion and bewilderment.
The breaking up of Iran. Again, nuttiness. So someone who's not a critical thinker, hasn't looked at the source documents, hasn't heard the words coming out of President Trump's mouth, they're going to be like, yeah, that's what they said. We never said that. Okay? They never said that. And I am very critical about these things. You know that. I think the objectives that they did state, like I said, are next to impossible except for destroying their ballistic missile capability. If you would have clearly stated just reducing their ability to get nuclear weapons and denying them nuclear weapons for the next 5 years, I'd say, yeah, okay, that's doable. And then you go away. But this guy's just making stuff up, right? So we can't be dummies and just let someone who's a propagandist just fool us, okay? And that goes for both sides. I'm just being honest, in life. Critical thinking for life, not just against this guy, right?
In America. It became a war without a strategy. Every 2 or 3 days, they announced a new objective. For several nights, they said they want to invade Karg Island. They said they want to open the Strait of Hormuz. They mobilized their battle.
All right, now he's a little more on track. Now he's a little more accurate. So let's keep going.
Ships. Everything they tried, we can show how we were victorious.
In your view, is it inevitable that Iran...
They definitely are not victorious. He's just still alive. Buddy, you're still alive. And if you're not careful, that might not last too long. So they're definitely not victorious. This is just a bunch of puff up talk right here.
On his one.
No, we have not yet reached our final objective. This is clear. Up until now, we are victorious. In the future, we will continue to be victorious. The longer this war lasts, the more experience we gain. We had never seen a real war to gain real experience, to learn how to fight with America. In these 5 months, we have learned how. We have also seen how the American military is weaker than what we perceived.
Is it Iran's objective?
The American military is weaker than we perceived, meaning they thought they were going to get wiped off the face of the earth, right? Okay. And, but obviously he said it. They don't have much experience in warfare. They didn't fight in World War II. They didn't have Korea. They didn't have Vietnam. They didn't have Desert Storm. They didn't have the global war on terror, although they were sneak attacking our guys all the time in Iraq. Okay. They have a lot of proxy, terrorist, insurgent, counterinsurgent, not a counterinsurgent, insurgent warfare, guerrilla warfare. That's what they're good at. That's what they're actually really good at. Okay. And so now they're getting tested a little more conventionally, but it's not the same as having a major ground invasion happen. But he is right. They are gaining experience. Okay. They are gaining experience, but they're still alive. So he's right. They are meeting their objective. Let's keep listening. But again, my point is, this is how we're learning. What is their actual strategy? What are they trying to do? This is this week. Okay. This is what's happening this week for us to make decisions on, to look at. Their goal is to extend this campaign, this war, past the midterms into the next year of President Trump's presidency. They said as far as the next president, to influence the next presidential elections. Okay? Let's keep listening.
To drag out this war, to maybe wait until Mr. Trump is out of office?
Look, we have to attain deterrence so that the enemy never dares to attack us, so we can live with security. One way is to prolong this war until we get to the next term of the presidency and cause attrition, so that if anyone else wants to attack Iran, they will know there is a cost.
This week, on at least 2 occasions, maybe more, Iranian forces attacked non-military ships that were trying to cross through the Strait of Hormuz. What is Iran's objective in attacking civilian ships?
All right, so I'm going to ask you guys in the chat a question. Based on what you're hearing from him, this is news to me, okay? That they want to extend this war until past President Trump's presidency. They want to cause as much damage as they can. I want to ask you guys in the chat, give me a 1 in the chat if you think this means Iran will try to do a strike on the U.S. homeland. Give me a 1 in the chat. Give me a 0 if you don't think so, okay? This is just me thinking, imagining things, calculating out loud. And again, it doesn't mean that I'm asking this question that it means I think so. It means it's a possibility, and I want to get the idea from you guys in the chat what you think, okay? Let's see. Gwendolyn, no sane person wants to extend a war unless you... Yeah, right. That's it. Unless you have an investment in it. Turkey is NATO. That's crazy. Let's see. Frosty, okay. Cedric says 0. Frosty 0. Wanwick 0. Mark 0. Cedric 0. Okay, everybody says 0. Okay. Got it. Pumpkin McSpicy says 0. Sir Brains and Gains 0. Lady Ann 0. Lisa Jones. Check Light 66 0. Turkey, Pakistan, Saudi forming a NATO. Yep. Okay. Simple terms, but it's key against Israel threats to Turkey. Got it. Man, we got a smart crew in here. I'll tell you what. Okay. So most of you think that this does not mean they want to do a strike on the U.S. homeland. Okay. Got it. I hope all of you are right. And this is just a little bit, it's just interesting to hear that they want to keep this going. They want to cause as much damage as possible. And give me a 1 in the chat if you think what he means is cause as much damage as they can to U.S. forces in the region. Because, tell me, give me a 1 in the chat if you think what he means is cause as much damage to U.S. interests, U.S. assets, U.S. forces in the region. Give me a 1. And if you don't think that, give me a 0, because then I have a follow-on question, okay? Let me see what you guys think about that. All right? Let's see, get that. Because my thing is, as I'm walking through this in my mind, I think that if they were to do an attack on the U.S. homeland, this probably means that, or what this would result in, is a massive counterstrike. It would result in U.S. resolve, popular support at home for the war, possibly even an authorization for the use of military force. It sounds like they're being pretty strategically shrewd by not triggering some type of proxy attack or terrorist attack, something that they're going to claim in the U.S., right? I had seen something recently that they were going to target our infrastructure, our water supplies, our water systems. I just think if they did that and we found out it was them, I think Congress would pass the supplemental bill for, whatever it is, $100 billion and they're $90 billion, and they would then grant the authorization for the use of military force. I think that's how that would go. And I think they're not so stupid to think that the U.S. won't get emotional. American people won't get emotional and say, yeah, go do it. End this. I don't want this coming home. So that's what I'm thinking about as I hear this guy. Okay. Juan Wick says 0, Frosty 0, Mayad 0, Pumpkin 0, Jonathan Davis 0.5. Okay, Gwendolyn. That's not unusual. Having no end goal is unusual. Yep, Gwendolyn. True. Ricky 0, Wanwick. It's economical. Okay, yes, we could break them if they did that. Yeah, Freedom Cherry. Yep, I agree. Keith 0. They mean the stock market. Trump has made it clear that only measuring stick he cares about is Wall Street. You're not wrong. Welcome, Phoenix. Good to have you. All right, guys. What's up, Cedric? Let's see. Cedric, watch out for that. Watch out for that CIA YouTube lady, namely Sarah something. She cries wolf all the time about Iran terrorist cells here. Yeah, I don't think she's crying wolf. I think they do. They've built up capability over time, but I think they've also, as he said, watched how the U.S. fights. I think the sure way to make America fight a capital W war, as if you guys watched me last week on the War Room Recall last Friday, we fight capital W war, meaning big war, big American way of war, heavy firepower, overwhelming numbers, things like that, ground troops pounding people. But that only happens if you attack the homeland, right? It only happens if you not just attack the homeland, but if obviously Vietnam, that wasn't the case. But it only happens when someone can spread fear among the people. Now, if they do it for you, if Iran attacks us, they spread fear among the people, boom. If a politician is successful in spreading a fear narrative, boom, like Desert Storm, right? I mean, there was an attack on the homeland, 9/11, and then Bush and his whole crew administration went on the campaign trail saying WMD, that's going to happen again. Now, to their credit, I will tell you, I know people in that administration, I knew people, they said they truly believed. They really believed that another attack on the homeland was coming. It was some massive conspiracy. So, at least there's that. But yeah, I think if they did that, okay. Russ Civil, Russ Civil's asking, also new to this crew, what's y'all's thoughts on 1,000 sleepers? You guys put that in the chat. Answer that up. Anything's possible. Anything's possible if they had 40 years to build up infrastructure in the United States. With our immigration and our melting pot and the way our country is democratic, it's not impossible. It's totally possible. Now, with recent improvements after 9/11, I think it's much harder for terrorists to navigate, right? Criminals obviously still are navigating pretty damn well, the cartels, but I think for terrorists, it's much harder for people that are trying to conduct major spectacular attacks because the intelligence fusion is a lot better. The joint interagency intel sharing is much better. One of the reasons 9/11 happened was because each of the agencies had a piece of the puzzle, okay? And they didn't have these joint interagency task forces, the JIATF, things like that would put all the puzzles together, right? JSOC became JSOC in the wake of 9/11, okay? They were pretty good before, out of the ashes of Desert One, but during the global war on terror, the JIATF, the Joint Interagency Task Force, the interagency, the JSOC, all these things became way better at sharing, talking, making sure, even sharing with partners and allies, things like that. So I think it's much harder for them to operate as 1,000 sleeper cells. All right, let's keep going. Here we go.
What is Iran's objective in attacking civilian ships?
When we are at war, vessels need to pass through a region we can control. When they leave an area that we control, it could be that they're transporting supplies for the enemy.
Do you not see that as a violation of international law, attacking civilian ships?
When you're in a state of war, any thoroughfare deemed to be a threat, we can control it. This is international law. Anywhere in the world where there is war, this law exists.
One of your most...
Okay, so this is my counterpoint to all of you. I asked you the question. I said, do you think that Iran would attack the U.S. homeland? Okay, and I agreed with everything you guys said. Everybody said no, we don't think so. And I still think it's a possibility, but I tend to agree with you that I don't think so. I just gave you my whole thesis. The reason why was that we'd have a massive response. But now hearing the logic, though, from him, this is well known in war. In war, these things happen. If you need to attack something that is a thoroughfare, an asset, a supplier of the war effort, then wouldn't it be okay to attack U.S. commerce at home, U.S. industry, U.S. supply chains, Amazon, I don't know, Boeing, General Dynamics, Raytheon, Wall Street, right? So this is where my mind goes. I extrapolate out and I think, what else would they do if things get intense, more intensified, right? If we did ground operations, would they then attack the homeland? If they could. I don't even know if they can, right? I don't know. I've heard all the same things, sleeper cells, all the things like that. I will tell you one thing. When I was operating before in the interagency as a diplomat and working as the Marine Corps attaché, and I worked with the Joint Interagency. I worked with, every part of the country team and all of that, okay? And I had worked on strategic diplomatic relations with lots of countries and everything that means, okay? And so one of the things I was told by one of my CIA counterparts was that advised me that if I'm dealing with the Iranians, I need to really, really be careful. And at the time, there were things like this going on, okay? And so I will just say they told me I need to be very careful because my life is in danger, all right? Your life is in danger because what they would do is they would get someone from Hezbollah or Hamas to kill you and your family overseas, or they could even target you at home. I remember getting threat briefings from SOCOM saying that there were Hamas, Hezbollah, Al-Qaeda, ISIS agents who were looking to find out where special ops members lived and to target them. Okay, so this stuff is very real, and I think you have to remember what constitutes a threat. A threat means capability plus intention. You can have the intention to kill American service members at home or American civilians, but you have no capability to do so. You're a nut job and you're, somewhere in the Middle East, or you're somewhere in Russia, you're somewhere in Africa, somewhere in Asia. You're not here and you have no strategic reach to do it. But if you have the capability to reach and you have no intention, then you're still not a threat. But if you have both the capability and the hardwired intention, real intention to strike, this, my friends, is what forms a true threat. And I want you to think the same thing in business, in your career, in your life as a leader, in your decisions you make. When you see somebody, let's say a new competitor gets in the space that you're in, okay? Whether it's another person on your team, it's a person in your business, it's a competitor in the marketplace, you have to look at, do they have a capability to disrupt me or to hurt me? Do they have the intention, okay? And you really better do your due diligence on the intention. I'm just telling you, because if you wish away, fairy dust away the intention, and they have bad intentions, it could hurt you, okay? So you got to be very, very smart about that. That's what I would say. Okay, so if that makes sense, yeah, there you go. Mr. Nix says they 100% couldn't care less about killing American civilians or infrastructure at home, but it doesn't make strategic sense. Yeah, I agree with you, because we're going to unleash the 800-pound gorilla on them. I agree with you, Mr. Nix. Yep. Juan Wick agrees too. Yep. Okay. Let's keep on rolling. This guy's pretty interesting. I'm glad I found this. Honestly, let's go.
Effective weapons in this war has been your missiles and your drones. Reports said before the war you had about 3,000 to 4,000 missiles. How many missiles do you have in your stockpile right now?
First of all, we are not reliant on missiles and drones. If we are victorious, we relied on our faith to be victorious. God is with us. As for our missiles, the Americans and the Zionists always want to counter missiles. First of all, the number of missiles we manufacture every day is more than the number we launch. In a country this vast, we can make them wherever we want.
Where are you making them? Is it deep underground?
He's going to give him the top secret information right now. Where are you making them? This is actually a CIA sleeper right here, this guy.
We do it in different ways. We have various ways to manufacture them securely. Rest assured, even if this war lasts for years, until the last day, Iran's rockets will be launched. I
guess we'll find out, won't we? We're going to find out. But you guys know how I feel about faith. Obviously, I think faith is very, very powerful, very important. Some people may laugh at that or may discount it, but I want to say something. The faith he's talking about lends itself to being believable and important for strategic culture. Strategic culture matters because it shows the willingness of a people, of an army, of a civilization, of a society to endure and to sacrifice in order for their country to survive and thrive, okay? We saw strategic culture in World War II where we were getting, the United States, people were being put on rations. Everybody was working in the factories. In the United Kingdom, we saw a strategic culture, right, where they were getting bombed so much and they were all rationing, hiding. They're all part of the war effort. We saw strategic culture in Russia during World War II. To give you some, big examples, most intense examples, where everybody was to the front. Women were becoming snipers in the Battle of Stalingrad. Men were fighting. Everybody's fighting. Even the bears were fighting, right? So all kinds of stuff. Strategic culture matters. That's what he's talking about when he says it is our faith, in God that drives us. And I don't want to discount that, because what that means is that if they collectively believe, okay, in a martyrdom culture, and they collectively believe that, this is what we do, the narratives and stories we tell each other shape what we will do and who we are. Again, I talk about it on Mondays and Mindset Monday. It shapes your identity. And one of the things about identity, okay, and it matters from the individual level all the way to the team level, to the global strategic nation state level, okay, is that our identity, one of the most powerful forces in the human condition, is the need to stay consistent with the way we see ourselves. And that is your identity. So if this person's fighting in a war surrounded by other people that believe these stories, even if they feel fear, if they all do it together, they keep consistent with their identity. It keeps their respect intact, their tribe intact, their standing intact. People will die for respect and status, okay? Monday, I covered this stuff with you guys, okay? Mindset Monday. If you're new here, guys, welcome aboard. Rewatch Mindset Mondays. Watch my Monday on all about how do you build unstoppable leaders and teams. And I talk about the 7 forces of ferocious optimism. And I also talk about the 8 core vital human interests and key motivations that make us do what we do. But I extrapolate that from the strategic level all the way down to the individual level, okay? And it matters. Strategic culture matters. It mattered for the Spartans who defeated the Persians, the ancient Iranians, the Persians, back at the Battle of Thermopylae. Their strategic culture was the men marched to die and fight, and they created more of them, and you fought training for war since you were 7 years old in the Agoge, okay? So strategic culture matters. Strategic culture is in the Marine Corps. Marine Corps is the biggest brainwashing organization in a good way, right? Its culture is all about honor culture, honor, courage, commitment, fighting for each other, sacrificing for your buddies, no Marine left behind. It is an honorable and good thing to die for your friends. We quote the Bible on it, about no greater joy has the man than to lay down his lives for those he loves and for his friends, okay? So all those things matter. I don't want to discount that. I'm saying that. Next, if they really can pump out these drones, these missiles, it's a whole nother thing. All right, let's watch a little bit more and we're going to keep rolling.
This point, and this is more important than missiles. If there comes a day when Iran has no more missiles left, that's when we will be even more dangerous for America.
How would you be more dangerous?
Look at this guy's face. He's about to laugh. How would you be more dangerous? Let's hear.
Because America has thousands of economic interests throughout the world, and all of them can be easily destroyed.
Okay, there it is. There it is, everybody. I think this gives us our answer. I'm going to replay that. Would Iran attack America on the homeland? Would Iran attack civilians? He's saying economic interests. Yeah, I know what that means, okay? But there's always collateral damage when you attack economic interests. And also, not to mention, it goes into total war. He's very foolish because if we go to total war, America wins, point, period, paragraph, right? America's holding back right now. Make no mistake. This is not like Europe, like bombing Dresden, like Germany, like Japan. None of that's happening. This isn't the Soviet Union going against, on the Eastern Front against the Germans. That's not happening yet. So let's listen one more time.
Thousands of economic interests throughout the world, and all of them can be easily destroyed.
Military officers often put themselves in the place of their rivals and the enemy to maybe predict what they're going to do. Put yourself in Pete Hegseth's place. What is he thinking? What is your prediction as to what he might do?
I will never put myself in his place. He is a criminal who killed 168 innocent children. Not only do these people not work for the benefit of humanity, they don't even work for America. They work for their own interests. As soon as the stock market closes, they start hostilities. The stock market.
All right, we got enough from this guy. That was pretty eye-opening, though, right? So again, when we look here and we see this, I want you to think of that general, okay? The senior IRGC advisor told PBS is the goal of the strategy of the Iranians is to prolong this war until we get to the next term of the presidency, okay? We'll listen a little bit to them right here.
Something is coming out of Iran today. A lot of news is coming out of Iran that, the worry that I have that Iran may be more keen to continue the war than the US is starting to unravel. We've got the PBS did an interview with the commander, IRGC commander. His name is Nakdi. PBS journalist asked him, is it Iran's objective to drag out this war to maybe wait until Trump is out of office? The commander says, look, we have to attain deterrence so that the enemy never dares to attack us, so we can live with security. One way is to prolong this war until we get to the next term of the presidency and cause attrition so that if anyone else wants to attack Iran, they will know there is a cost. So that is a serious discussion being had in Iran right now. And literally, as we're going live, there's a report that came out on Bloomberg. Iran, this is from Bloomberg, summary of the article. Iran is adopting a more aggressive military posture toward the U.S. as diplomatic talks between Tehran and Washington remain frozen.
Okay, guys, give me a 1 in the chat if you feel that Iran is actually, from what you are seeing, adapting a more aggressive strategy towards the U.S. in this war as of right now, okay, as of this week. Give me a 1 in the chat. If you feel Iran is adopting a more aggressive posture towards the U.S. this week, okay, put a 1 in the chat. And give me a 0 if you don't see it. All right, I want to see what you guys are saying. After everything we're watching and their assessment right now, but put that in the chat and we'll come back to it in 1 second.
The shift comes amid heightened regional tensions and continued uncertainty over whether negotiations between the two sides will resume. Iran's tougher stance further complicates efforts to revive diplomacy and reduce tensions with Washington. So we've talked a few times about the worry. It's a worry that mainly I have is that Iran not only wants to cause the U.S. pain to build deterrence, they think they may be able to get more out of the U.S. if they keep this war going and putting the U.S. in a more difficult position. Because remember, this war going on for the last few weeks, thanks to Trump, for him breaching the MOU. Trump doing what Trump does gave Iran the upper hand, gave Iran those advantages and that leverage. So in Iran's minds, the calculation would be like, look, if we can sustain this for longer, let's do another 6 months of this. Imagine what we could get then.
Okay, so we had a little more color commentary there. I'm going to see what you guys got in the chat right here. Hey, what's going on, Jasmine? Good to have you. All right, so Jasmine's here, says 1. Cedric says 0. Okay, not more aggressive. Silky Temptation says 1, more aggressive. 1 is more aggressive. 0 is not more aggressive. Lady Ann says 1. Mark says 0. Gwendolyn says, oh, he's on that show. I don't know, Gwendolyn. John says 1. Paul says 0. Lady Ann, that's why I'm not hearing too much. Gwendolyn says 0. Lisa says 0.5. Gwendolyn says there's another. Rust says 0. Freedom Cherry 1. 0. Okay, the rhetoric's gotten stronger, Keith. Okay. Yeah, as soon as weapons are out, we will see. Yeah, I agree with you, Gwendolyn. Let's see. Mark, in the sense of their rhetoric, yes, but words only. Hurt feelings. Yep. Okay. Yep. Freedom Cherry, they're threatening us with economic ruin of the world. Yep. Paul, it's all for dead people to lead the lizard people. Gwendolyn, let's see. Cedric, 0. Iran sticking to their original protocols in the beginning. Okay. Let's see. Russ says 0. I think they're purposely getting beat up on the world stage to be victimized. That's a good point. That's a good point. Yeah, because then you get you get a lot of hit to the U.S. soft power and influence. Good point. Okay. Lady Ann, they hack our stuff. Iran government, the people. Okay. Yep. All right, guys. Let's keep on rolling because we're going to hear many voices and you're going to make up your own minds on this. Let's get back to my favorite background right here. So people, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Smash that like button if you haven't yet. And go ahead and subscribe and send it to your friends. If you think someone's going to get something from this, go ahead and send it to them. Get them in here. Let's grow the movement, grow the message. All right. Let's keep on talking here. All right. So the U.S. put out its 8th round of sanctions on Iran this year. Iran's foreign ministry said they won't fold. Nothing's going to hurt them. They're going to keep going. They also said the sanctions make a deal harder, not easier. All right. The president said the Navy swept the strait for mines and has full control of the water. Okay, if that's the case, why isn't anything going through? At the same time, a maritime tracking firm reported traffic stayed low all week and got worse over the weekend. Well, here we are. There's nothing going through. As we can see right here, there's nothing going through. Let's see what this one is. Let's take a look at this ship while we're on it. It is the Music, an oil chemical tanker. And let's hear some more about these vessel details. They look like they're getting awfully close to the strait. Where are they from? Let's see. In the Persian Gulf is the flag of the Bahamas. Looks like the Bahamas get a pass, or they pay the $2 million in Bitcoin to $2 million in won or Bitcoin, the renminbi, to Iran, and they can sail on through. That's what it looks like to me. But it looks like the Bahamas don't have to play these crazy games like the rest of us. They're the closest ones. Let's see who's sitting over here. Who's paying the toll? This is who's paying the toll in the Straits. The Hasna, crude oil tanker. It looks Iranian. I think the Hasna is an Iranian tanker. Let's see. Iran, flag of Iran. Yes, it is. Okay, that makes total sense, right? The Hasna, that's what's sitting close to Keshem Island right here, okay, near Bandar Abbas. And it's always, I find it's always really interesting to zoom in a little bit and take a look at the map here. But let's keep on going before I digress. So here we go. Got a little report from CNN about Iran's supreme leader reshaping military leadership. Let's listen to this one. Maybe if I can get it to play.
For the withdrawal.
Hold on, here we go.
Iran's new supreme leader is reshuffling the country's military leadership, and experts say the promotion of more than a half dozen hardliners to top security positions suggests a more complicated picture for the U.S. The shakeup coming as President Trump says the U.S. and Iran are semi-negotiating. Tehran says no time.
I love the semi-negotiating. Like I told you guys before, remember the Brent crude prices rise and fall with semi-negotiating, okay? And so at the same time, I'm not so stupid to think I would rather the prices not go up. So now that we're in this, we don't want to be in it, but I'm glad my president at least is, you know, savvy enough with all these things to know that his words matter, right? Because if he has crazy rhetoric, Brent crude's going to go up. I'm just calling it like it is. You can bash on him all you want, and I don't blame you. But at this point right now, I'd rather have the Brent crude prices go down, have the markets on Wall Street stay up, and I'd rather have our people, our men and service men and women not dying. Okay, let's keep going.
talks are happening at all. Both sides are demanding compensation now as a precondition for talks. Iran is also calling for the withdrawal of all American troops from the region and the release of billions of dollars in frozen assets as a condition for reopening the Strait of Hormuz. Let's talk about this now with retired Army Major General.
Okay, and so you see that this was a change from just a few days ago. Just even 4 or 5 days ago, withdrawal of all U.S. troops from the region was not something. I think Iran escalated the war of rhetoric, as many of you pointed out in the chat. Got the best chat on YouTube, smartest people around. Welcome. If you're new here, please like, subscribe, and share. But as our smart-ass chat said in here, our fire chat, everybody said that they think it's the war of words. The rhetoric is going up, but it's not the so much the actions. They're taking a more aggressive rhetoric stance against the U.S., which we see will move the markets. In fact, you guys are so freaking genius, you just gave me an idea. Do you think that's all they need to do is to keep heavy, crazy rhetoric up in order to damage Brent crude oil prices, market prices, confidence, consumer confidence, investor confidence, global order, economic order confidence by just doing every now and then doing a couple of strikes, firing some Shahed drones, firing some missiles, firing at a tanker, keeping the straits unstable, making the situation unclear. Give me a 1 in the chat if you think that's all they have to do. They keep escalating the war of words. Maybe that is what their strategy is. And in that case, there is no deal. It makes us look bad. It hurts the soft power, the standing of the Trump administration. Give me a 1 in the chat if you think that might be it. Cedric says yes. Thank you, Cedric. Might be that easy. Yeah. Sigbeat. Bravo. Thank you. You guys did it. I put together all your comments and just started thinking. I was like, holy crap, this might be it. Because how nuts. Just the other day, they were like, yeah, pay us back, and we got to figure out the straits, and then you can have peace deal. And then they're like, wait a second. No. We're going to fight you guys. And matter of fact, we want, before it was like Dr. Evil, $1 million. Now it's like we want $1 billion. We want $10 billion. We want all U.S. troops gone. All right, yeah. Juan Wick says, yep. Thank you, Gwendolyn. Yep. So much economic damage as possible. Juan Wick, 1. Gwendolyn, 1. Russ says 1. Ruby says 1. Hey, Ruby, what's going on? Good to have you. Keith says 1. That is the victory. That's all they have to do. Yeah, I agree. So we got to make something happen now because now nothing's happening and they just keep on escalating. We're going to destroy you and your economic interests. We're going to take the fight to you. And so if we attack them overwhelmingly now, the whole world's going to say, what the hell's wrong with you? You guys are psychos. We want nothing to do with you. Right? It's like one time somebody brought up something. We got to just nuke them. This would be the dumbest move ever. We would be forever the villains of the world, right? I mean, there's some people say these things now. Well, we're not, but we would forever be, it would be a dark, dark chapter in American history, right? For our culture, for who we are, all these things. So, but this is all they have to do. Mark says 1. Yeah. Freedom 1. Lady Ann, they definitely have the strategy. They can see our openings. 1. Yeah. Jasmine says 1. Paul, it's like watching people arguing, buying something from an auction, bidding. Yeah. A war of trash talk. Yeah. Cedric, I'm laughing too. Not sure. We are low on oil reserves. I guess we will see very soon. Yeah, Frosty. Independent. Paul says 1. Yep. Okay. Interesting. Freedom Sherry. Yes. It's market gouging. That's it, Mr. Mark. I think I'm saying it. Merck, M-R-K. Market gouging to reduce the amount of dollars in the economy. Ooh. Transfer of power from Main Street to Wall Street. Okay. Interesting. We can just give them Jeff Bezos. Yeah, that's a whole nother story, right, Ruby? That's a whole nother story. I don't know. I don't know them personally. I just think I don't know how that's going to work out. That whole story. That's a whole nother live stream right there, Ruby. Yeah, that's what the greatest ally wants. Keith, I don't know. You might be right. But hey, I loved me some Amazon during COVID. I'm not going to lie to you. Loved me some Amazon then. Let's keep listening. The general here is going to break it down for us. Let's hear what he has to say.
General Randy Manner. He's a former deputy commanding general of the U.S. Third Army in Kuwait. All right, General, what does the shakeup of the Iranian military leadership tell you? The supreme leader has purportedly named an IRGC veteran as national security chief and then elevated these 6 hardliners to top security positions.
It further complicates the entire situation and makes any kind of a reasonable solution to continue to be eluded by both sides. The Iranians know that they have the upper hand in terms of the bargaining position. It is my opinion this is going to harden their demands. And of course, we have our own president who is backtracking and now saying that he expects compensation. It is probably true.
So make no mistake, it's not just them putting people in position. They are signaling. They are messaging by putting those people in. Hardliners were put in place, right? They didn't put in moderates. They didn't put in people that have a track record of talking, negotiating, who are reasonable. They put in the hardliners because it sends a message to the world that Iran is not budging. They're going to die on this mountain, right? That's what they're trying to project. Now, the U.S. may just oblige them. Okay, fine. We're going to let you die on this mountain, okay? Or it makes negotiations seem harder. Therefore, exactly what we just talked about in the chat and here is that part of their strategy. It seems impermeable, invincible, unstoppable, and a deal will not get done. That may be what they're trying to signal, okay, by having a changing of the guards and assigning these people. Let's keep going.
That there are some limited negotiations ongoing, but quite frankly, they are probably not substantial. And so again, the world.
Yeah, I think that's exactly true, what he's saying there. I think that is exactly true. And I want to put this on from Victor Davis Hanson really quickly. Here, listen to this, everyone.
The administration has given some indication all week that they are close to yet another deal. This is the 7th or 8th time they said a deal was at hand. Why does Donald Trump put up with it? He has a strategy, too. They're getting poorer. We did not lift the sanctions. We did not lift the embargo. We have debanked them, and they have a blockade around them every day. They're losing $400 to $500 million a day. They talk all they want, but the facts on the ground show that they're going broke.
Okay, so I think it's very important that we hear many voices, right? Victor Davis Hanson's got a lot of, great ideas on this. We've heard other sides of it, that time is going against the United States. We have the political pressures, but we have to understand that there are significant pressures also on the Iranian leadership too. So again, as we've talked about many times in game theory, right? It's a game of chicken. The best way to win a game of chicken is to be the one who just will let go of the wheel or tie themselves to the wheel and not steer. Right now, Iran has no choice. This is the only problem with this, is that Iran has no choice but to stay the course. Okay, for many reasons we talked about: regime survival, personal survival, all those things. The regime will not last. If they cut this deal, it's possible they will last, but it's also possible they'll see a weakening in their position, in their perceived power, and begin to be tested at home by the people, okay? Now, they were tested before, and they murdered them all, okay? But this is a definitely weakened military, in my opinion, after all the bombing and all the strikes. They're weakened with their money. They don't have as much money right now. As he's saying, I believe he said $500 million a day.
So the Trump administration's attitude is, as long as we're not conducting a full-scale war and the American people don't think we're at war, and as long as we're negotiating, we'll negotiate till hell freezes over. And we don't really care because we're winning every single day. They are getting poorer and poorer to the point where they're either going to implode, there's going to be a revolution on the streets, or they're going to collapse and agree to it. Now, that strategy is pretty smart, but it depends from the American point of view on one important thing. As they get to the midterms and Iran sees that it still has not been able to ensure that Donald Trump will lose the midterms. So they need some dramatic event to remind the American people they're still at war and the price of gas will get higher. I would imagine that we will have a late October surprise. I think the Trump administration should keep talking, keep all the sanctions, the blockades, but because Iran will probably do something dramatic, they should do something dramatic. Try to preempt them and hit them very, very hard.
Interesting. Very interesting. Let me ask you guys this. Do you believe, based upon what you heard from Victor Davis Hanson, that the Iranian regime is getting poorer and poorer? I know it doesn't present that way always from what we're seeing, but do you believe that they are getting poorer and poorer by the day, and that also that they're going to be so weak by the time the midterms come that they're going to have to do some type of spectacular attack to remind the American people that they are still there. I think that sounds very credible. I think it sounds very credible they're getting poorer, but I just don't know. I don't know how much of an impact it's actually having on them. I don't know what is their economy like. And we're going to talk about this in a minute. Remember I told you they're all tied together. Russia just legalized Bitcoin. Why? To get outside of the Western-led U.S. system, okay? Bitcoin can't be governed. Can't be, okay? So does Iran have some type of Hawala system set up? You guys know what the Hawala system, some type of underground black market. Do they have some kind of Chinese-led system? I don't know. I thought that they, with all the sanctions for years, for decades, and a pounding militarily, we would have thought that the effect would have been felt by now. It's been 6 months. How much longer do we need to pound them for and blockade them for? I'm just thinking this through out loud, guys. I don't watch these ahead of time. I'm just thinking out loud and giving you my honest reaction. But give me a 1 in the chat if you think Iran is getting poorer and poorer economically. I mean, they are being denied $500 million a day. I think the regime probably for major purchases, right? Maybe for major purchases like weapon systems, paying off their proxy forces, buying shipping, capital ships, buying tanks, maybe even building certain missiles or paying people. But I don't know if they just printing their own money. And the money they say has value in their own economy. We print our own money. You understand what I'm saying? So give me a 1 in the chat if you feel the regime is getting poorer and poorer. Propaganda says 1. Okay, got it. Then Trump blows weapons, resources, and angers allies to fake punt. Okay. Got it, Gwendolyn. Russ says 0.5. Who knows? We haven't seen the implication of some weapons being saved. They've been oppressed by sanctions. They know how to be a poor. Yeah, they know how to be poor. You're right. You're right about that. I think at one point during the Afghanistan war, I'd heard at one point I was out in Afghanistan, and they said we devalued from inflation. They had, I think it was like 40,000 Iranian, whatever they are. I don't know what they are, not reals or something, or I don't know. I can't remember. 40,000 to 1. And then it was like even worse. I want to say it was like 4 million to 1, something crazy. You guys can fact check me. I can't remember, but I remember that 4 with lots of zeros hit me like, holy crap. And they still haven't folded yet. And they were like, no, their economy is about to collapse. But I think some of these countries like North Korea just go internal and they just do their own thing, support themselves. I don't know how, but when you shut everything else off, they got to live and they find a way. So that's what it seems like to me. Yeah, Mr. Mark says, nah. Okay, we just like the people, poor every day. Gas going up. 1, I kind of think this is proxy war with China and Russia. Might be, Freedom. Okay, John says 1, but outside help from China and Russia. Got it, John. Okay. Freedom war. Oops. Keith Riggle 1, but us blue-collar folks here aren't exactly having a good time. Yep. Okay. Sig Beats never went to West Point, but I don't know. All right. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. So just something to think about, right? What is the actual pain of losing all that money? Now, I think them buying international structure, like international engineering companies, building their nuclear weapons program, maybe building ballistic missiles, but for them to actually collapse, they might just print their own money and print IOUs and say, look, we got machine guns, we got bullets, we're the strongest tribe, we're running shit here. Nobody else is running anything. And unless the Americans come in here and dig us out with bayonets and tanks and infantry, we ain't going nowhere, okay? And we're going to keep firing our fireworks, our drones, and our missiles and hitting slow-moving civilian tankers just to cause a problem. They want to come on in here? Come on in here. Otherwise, we're not going anywhere, okay? Which is a possibility. You don't know how low people can go, how deep they can dig in to survive. When their asses are on the line, their lives are on the line. All right. So good talk right there about all that stuff. But again, we'll go back to our favorite background here, Strait of Hormuz. Very strategic, very, very strategic. So here's the thing. We said that there's no traffic going through the Strait of Hormuz. Controlling a waterway and getting shippers to trust a waterway, as we said, are two different things. Okay. We got the new leadership in place, all the hardliners. And I want to say this. So every time that a deal looks real, oil drops. Just keep that in mind. The markets go up, oil drops. That's because a huge amount of the Gulf oil is sitting there stuck waiting to pour back in, okay? Every time the deal slips, oil climbs. This is the game right now. So one's pushing against it with a war of rhetoric. The other's pushing against it saying everything's fine. Do you remember when we had a ceasefire and we said, and President Trump said, well, you know, in that area of the world, a couple shots fired here and there, that's still a ceasefire. That's just how it is. Not a big deal. Not a big deal. Let's not freak out. He was trying to keep the markets calm, okay? Trying to keep his political support good, right? The market is not confused. The market is pricing how much it believes the promise of what's going on, okay? But I think you can only do that for so long. The risk premium for all of this is all weighed in as well. So remember, every leader has a risk premium. Super important. It's the one discount your people apply to what you say. The say-do gap is everything, everyone, okay? What a leader says and what they do. This matters for all of us, whether you're leading your family, you're leading your friends, you're leading your team at work, you're leading yourself, right? Stop the negotiation, carry through what you said you're going to do. This is built from the gap between what you announce and what you deliver, okay? Let's say that, you know, in a nutshell, talk is cheap, right? Trust is earned in what is delivered. So here's the big question for this week. What have you announced? This is for you. What have you announced that your team has not seen you deliver? Okay. What have you announced in your own life that you haven't delivered yet? Right. This is the say-do gap. I mean, and I would think about this because it really matters. All right, here we go. Next, I'm going to show you the number that's actually raising your prices right now, and it's not the one just on the gas station sign. Okay. So let me go ahead and put this up right now. I want to watch this little video because I think this is pretty damn important. And hold on one second, guys. We're going to get into the economics now. And we're going to talk about why affordability is hurting and where the numbers, what is the number one number that's affecting it. Here we go.
Live on the North Lawn. Nancy, good morning. We just shared with everyone that
this guy's voice is a little funny. I don't know about you guys. That just kind of struck me as a little bit odd. Here we go.
people are souring on this administration's economic policies for a number of reasons. Give us an update on why that is.
Right. Well, you know, it is an election year. We're now just 3 months out of the midterm elections. And so this is an issue that is front and center for voters. And it is affecting the way that not only the president, but candidates from both parties shape their economic message.
Hey, guys, you want to come down here?
It's the latest sign of a slowing economy. 23,000 jobs lost last month, the opposite of what experts had predicted. The latest wage data was all
right, guys, 23,000 jobs lost. This is totally the opposite of what we thought was going to happen, okay? This is important for a few things. We're going to talk about Bitcoin in a little while here. We're going to talk about liquidity. We're going to talk about if the Fed is going to raise rates. They're not going to because of this report, okay? So we're going to cover this in a second. But all these things are tied together. Remember that. We got Pixel Shooter. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. It means a lot. Big round of applause for Pixel Shooter right now. I appreciate you being a friend of the channel, Pixel Shooter. Big round of applause. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Love you being here. Thanks for that. Love the streams, Ben. It means a lot. All right, everybody. Let's keep on rolling here. Appreciate all the support, everybody. Always very motivating to get a super chat or a super thanks or whatever we're calling these things. But thank you for the gift. I appreciate it. Let's keep going. Again, I'm going to replay this. Jobs, 23,000. I heard it was 28,000 the other day. So there's some differing in opinions here, okay? Here we go.
Latest sign of a slowing economy. 23,000 jobs lost last month, the opposite of what experts had predicted. The latest wage data was also disappointing, showing pay hikes aren't keeping up with inflation.
This is bad. This means the money you earn is not matching the cost of goods. Okay, let's look at this. I'm going to go back just 5 seconds. Annual wage growth, 3.2. Annual inflation rate, 3.5. Not good. There's a lot of stuff we're wrestling with. The Trump administration's wrestling with. We're wrestling with as Americans, okay? And it's very important to take a look at this.
Data was also disappointing, showing pay hikes aren't keeping up with inflation.
It's gone completely off the cliff, and nobody's doing anything about that. The average person can't afford to go to the grocery store anymore.
I definitely think the fuel is the biggest impact, but I also do think it's temporary.
War-induced high gas prices are averaging just over $4 a gallon nationwide. Inflation has crept up since Trump took office, despite what he said last week.
We have very low inflation. We brought inflation way down.
His top economic advisor, Kevin Hassett, did acknowledge some of the problems on Sunday.
Grocery prices are still high, and we've still got a lot of work to do.
But he insisted the employment.
All right. So a couple things here. Okay, a couple things. Number one, someone fact check me on this because I don't want to say bad. I don't want to say information that I haven't fact checked. But if I do recall, last year, someone in the Trump administration had talked about inflation being no big deal. Don't have to worry about inflation. Okay, you definitely have to worry about inflation. All right. Inflation tends to help those that are property owners, people who own assets, because the assets have then an inflated price, right? And so it goes up. Inflation hurts you affordability-wise. It hurts you at the pump. It hurts you buying housing if you don't own housing already, okay? And so there are lots of things going on here where it's, again, K-shaped economy. The rich are going to get richer. The poor are going to get poorer, okay? But it's also those people connected to technology, to manufacturing, things like that, to the capital means of driving the growth are going to get richer. Those that are working, okay, it's going to be harder on all of us, all right? So let's keep on listening a little bit more here.
Despite what he said last week.
We have very low inflation. We brought inflation way down.
His top economic advisor, Kevin Hassett, did acknowledge some of the problems on Sunday.
Grocery prices are still high, and we've still got a lot of work to do.
But he insisted the employment rate is on the rise in some key sectors.
The thing that really jumps out at us is that those are really good jobs. They're manufacturing jobs. They're construction jobs.
The most recent CBS News poll found voters remain skeptical. 55% said the Republican Party's policies are hurting their cost of living, a concern that is now being echoed by Democratic candidates like Michigan's Abdul El Sayed.
All right. So again, when we have these things, political changes happen, elections are won and lost and all this, right? As many of you know. So let's take a look at some more of this data right here. The S&P 500 and the NASDAQ ended higher, lifted by upbeat quarterly results from CoreWeave and other AI infrastructure firms. As you know, AI is driving a lot of the growth. While mild inflation data reinforced bets that the Federal Reserve will hold interest rates steady in September because of the jobs report, losing 23,000 to 28,000 jobs, depending on who you listen to. Okay, let's hear this guy.
Kind of saying nothing really to see.
U.S. stocks closed mostly higher on Wednesday, with the Dow the only outlier, ending virtually flat, the S&P 500 gaining about 0.25%, and the NASDAQ adding more than 0.5%. Upbeat quarterly results from AI-related firms continued to soothe investor fears about massive CapEx spending. Shares of CoreWeave, for instance, surged 19%.
Okay, again, a lot of it's AI-related. We're going to keep on rolling here. All right. So a lot of leaders treat this as foreign news, okay? They treat it as foreign news from what's going on in the war, but it isn't. It's a line in your profit and loss statement, okay? So at the pump, we're going to talk about at the pump. The national average is close to $4 a gallon, all right? I think it's a little bit over. It's up more than 30% since the war started. It peaked in May, it eased in June, and it's climbing again now because people are seeing that actually no deal is actually happening. Per household, one research group has tracked the extra fuel cost. As of August 4th, the average American household has paid about $527 more because of this war, okay? So think about that, right? Average household paying $527 more because of the war for extra fuel costs per household, okay? They project it'll be over $650 by the end of the summer. Nationally, that's about $70 billion in extra spending so far. I don't know about you, but that's not fun, not good. So the extra fuel cost per household today is $5.27. End of summer will be $6.50. April's inflation number came in at 3.8% for the year. You just saw, we saw 3.5%, all right? It's the biggest jump in 3 years, and the energy costs drove it. Think about that again. The biggest jump in 3 years in energy costs drove the inflation to go up. Inflation is hurting all of us, unless you're a real estate investor, okay? It's helping you. The Dallas Fed estimates oil shocks add about 0.6 points to headline inflation for 2026. The Fed was expected to cut rates this year. It didn't happen. Okay, now they're holding and they're watching. Again, there's a liquidity issue because when the Fed keeps rates the same and doesn't cut them, people aren't allowed to borrow as much as quickly. The cost of money is more. All right. And here's the piece that almost no one talks about, and that's diesel. Gas is the number everyone sees because it's a sign, a big sign at eye level for you as you pull up. But there's another one that matters a lot, and that is diesel. That is the price. The diesel fuel is actually what raises your costs for shipping in trucks, okay? In 2 weeks in March, diesel went from $3.89 to $5.37 a gallon. It stayed there the whole time. It's about a 50% jump from last year. Think about that. 50% increase in the cost to move food and goods, all those things, all right? Diesel moves trucks. Trucks moves equipment, food, you name it. All kinds of goods, farm equipment, construction gear, fishing boats, trains. Diesel didn't hit you at the pump. It hits you on the invoice about a month or two later, okay? It's buried in the price of everything you're buying, anything that had to physically move to reach you. And then there's the ship fuel, okay? Almost nobody's covering ship fuel. You don't hear about it. Ships run on a heavy, cheap fuel called bunker fuel. About 80% of world trade by volume moves on ships that burn it, okay? The Hormuz shutdown choked this supply and hit Asia's main refueling hub hard. One estimate puts the cost to global shipping industry around 340 million euros a day. I want you to think about that. That is like, $700 million, okay? Let's say it's like $500 million. You can do the conversion. Ships have also slowed down about 2% on average since the war started. Slowing down is the cheapest way to burn less fuel, but it means that things don't reach you as fast, okay? Slower ships mean longer lead times. Longer lead times means more of your cash is tied up in goods sitting on the water, okay? It also means your supply chains are slower, everything. That's already happening to you. It just may not have shown up in your numbers yet, okay? Like I said, you're going to see shocks from this happening all the way to December, okay? Agriculture shocks, shipping shocks, economic shocks. They have talked about this 6-month closure of the Strait of Hormuz as being one of the single worst events economically that can happen for the global economy, okay? And it's going to hit not just the U.S., but it's going to hit a lot of other smaller countries too. It's really going to hurt them. And therefore, it's going to, have an impact on all of us. So what's still coming? You need to plan for these following things. 1, natural gas and fertilizer. We've talked about that many times, okay? Qatar's Ras Laffan complex is the biggest natural gas exporter facility on Earth. And it got struck by Iranian drones. Roughly 17% of Qatar's capacity went down. Analysts think the damage takes 3 to 5 years to repair. Think about that. 3 to 5 years, okay? Natural gas isn't just heat and power. It's the raw material for ammonia. Ammonia is the raw material for fertilizer. Fertilizer grows about half the world's food, okay? So if you're not tracking on this, it's important to understand, natural gas isn't just for heat and for movement and for power, right? It's also for fertilizer. And this is going to hurt us in agriculture too. Food supply warnings have been running since April. That's a 2027 problem being written right now. Everyone's saying, get ready, shocks are coming. Number 2, the next thing, Asia runs out of cushion. We talked about number 1, natural gas and fertilizer. These are problems that are coming. Number 2, Asia runs out of cushion. About 80% of the oil and 90% of the natural gas that normally moves through Hormuz goes to Asia, okay? Asia can't pay for the gas, the oil, the things it needs. All right. China, Japan, Korea, and Taiwan have been burning through reserves. China has had a massive oil reserve. They planned for it. They have a big oil reserve. And I'm telling you, they've been running on I would say they had a plan for this, but it's definitely been hurting them. Those reserves are not endless. If China can't get its energy reserves replenished, can't meet its energy needs, all I can say is, do we remember what Japan did when we restricted its oil? We cut off its oil, right? They went to war. I think China would have many other options and tools to use diplomatically before that. But when they run thin, make no mistake, it's not just war. Factories will slow down. Where do we buy our goods? How do the goods get cheap? A lot of them are made in China. Those factories build your electronics, your appliances, your auto parts, your chemicals. It won't look like a shortage in the Gulf. It looks like a part you used to get in 3 weeks, now taking 11, okay? Number 3, weapon stockpiles. And let me be very careful and exact here. I want to make sure I say this correctly. CNN reported on August 4th, citing people familiar with inventory reports, that the U.S. had used up nearly 80% of its THAAD interceptors and about half of its Patriots. Okay, half of its Patriot interceptors since the war began. A Washington think tank estimated pre-war stocks around 2,200 Patriots and 452 THAAD. On August 8th, Deputy Defense Secretary sent a memo pushing defense companies to speed up production. You guys remember that, okay? And it happened again. The Pentagon confirmed the memo and framed it as part of a modernization plan that predates the war. Come on, this is just not true. The president has publicly disputed the shortage story, has said that the U.S. has massive amounts and more are being built. Okay, so there's a lot there to be concerned about, the second and third order effects that are coming soon to a theater near you, to a theater near me, all right? And so I want to put this up on the screen. The American Affordability Tracker. Here's where we're at right now, okay? Let's take a look in a nutshell right here. If you check out your screen, you can see what I'm putting up. All right, state of affordability, resources and costs. Average home price sales is going up, $486,000 for average home price. $154 average monthly residential electricity expenditure. 15% financial distress, student loan delinquency rate, okay? It's spiking right now. 2.6% mortgage delinquency rate, not so bad. $1,890 is the average monthly rent. You can see the graph, it's going up. $611 monthly price of health insurance, spiking later on this year. 5.6% credit card delinquency rate, definitely going up quite a bit. 5.7% auto and retail loan delinquency. Okay, I'm not making this stuff up. I would like to report good news in this, but unfortunately, this is what I got. Okay, I didn't search for bad news to tell you guys, but this is what I got right now. $29,000 average annual price of childcare for 2 young children. 3.96 average price of gasoline a gallon. Okay, 696 average credit score. Okay, and that has actually been going up, which is good. It shows a slight dip off and decline right now, but it's been on the rise, which is good overall. $1,000 estimated average monthly grocery prices. That is climbing significantly. You can see this here in the graph. Okay, $1,270 average weekly earnings. That's going up as well too. Interesting. And 49% share of people whose families lack the resources needed to fully participate in today's economy. Okay, that's from the True Cost of Economic Security poll. And we can go in more and more into detail here, but I think it is important to know that obviously this affordability is not doing the best right now, okay? But a key takeaway, let's go back to the interceptors and the weapons. Here's what nobody disputes. Interceptors get used at wartime speed. They get built at peacetime speeds. We're not like Iran, this general saying, we build them faster than we shoot them, okay? That's not the case, okay? It's just a math problem for us. It's not a political one. We can't build these as fast as we shoot them. And I kind of doubt what that Iranian general is saying. Although they are cheaper, they're not as sophisticated, so maybe, right? This strategy, the practical result is very simple. You start firing fewer interceptors at each incoming threat to save your stock, right? Which means the odds of one getting through goes up quite a bit. All right, so going back to the interceptors. So if we look at this, again, these things that are coming, what's still coming to plan for? One, natural gas and fertilizer. That's going to be a shock, right? Natural gas helps create ammonia, which helps create the raw material for fertilizer. Fertilizer grows about half of the world's food. Number two, Asia runs out of oil cushion. Number three, weapon stockpiles. Let me be careful, right? Weapon stockpiles. Let me be careful by saying this, okay? Used up fast and replaced slow. Every one of you has that problem somewhere. You have to ask yourself, where am I using things up fast but replacing it slow? A lot of the times, that's in our money and our income, right? How much money we make. We are using it up fast and replacing it slow, okay? Sometimes it's cash. More often, though, it's people. And, you think about on your team, too, specifically your best 4 or 5 people, the ones you always go to. The more and more you go to them as a leader, okay, to making a little leadership bridge here, those people get used up. They won't be as effective later, okay? So whether it's your weapon stockpiles, it's your cash, or it's your top performers at work, you need to make sure that you are using them according to their best use. Don't overuse them. Don't waste them. And don't get into this asymmetric fight where you are using a $35 million helicopter versus a $20,000 drone, okay, just like we have in the thumbnail. So I want to give you an example here. So you're firing interceptors in every crisis, every escalation, and every just handle this situation, okay? Or you're using your very best people, the most highly qualified, on your just handle this situations, right? Same small group every time. And nobody's counting. A missile shows up on a depletion report. A person doesn't, right? So you wear those people out. This is a problem. This is the leadership takeaway for us, okay? What are those critical resources that you're using in your situation, okay? What are the critical resources you're using that can't be replaced that quickly? Is it your cash? Is it your people? Or is it your top performers? What is it? Is it your energy? You're burning your energy out on things that don't matter that much. Most people major in minor things. They're not focusing their energy. It's a finite resource every day. You're not focusing your energy on the most important tasks you have to get done, and it's going to hurt you, okay? So what happens is you just get quieter. You get less effective. They get quieter. They get less effective. They take the recruiter's call, right? And they're gone. They're going to be out of your organization, okay? You're going to stop performing, and your money will be gone. Okay, I saw one of you saying, I'm ready to invest, teach me. We're going to get into that in a second, okay, a little bit. But I will say this always, right? The biggest thing is increase your income, increase your saving. You got to save something, cut your expenses so that you can actually invest. And then I want to make sure all of you know too, repetitive hands-free investment. You got to get automatic investment going so it takes it out of your hands. It takes it out of your paycheck before you even know about it, okay? Because otherwise, you may spend on everything else except for your future. Okay, so I'll just make that as a public service announcement for everybody. All right, so I want you to think about what were the top things you need to work on to cut back on how fast you spend them. Okay, this is the leadership tie-in for us. Is it your energy? Are you overusing your top performers in your team? Are you overspending? Are you spending on things acting like cash tap's never going to get shut off? Okay. If you're doing that, I'm here to tell you, you're only 1 or 2 events away from, winter coming, from the storms, from the rains, all those things like that. So be very, very mindful of that, okay? Remember, the Pentagon at least has a memo, okay? Most of you and most executives, they don't even have a count. They don't even know where they sit. They can't even read what's actually going on. They don't have a good dashboard. It happens all the time. I see it all the time, okay? So I just want to say that to all of you. Let me jump in the chat really quickly, okay? I want to see, what do you guys think? What scares you the most? Give me in the chat right now. Out of these things, what scares you the most? Is it number 1, the natural gas and fertilizer connection, that shock coming? Is it number 2, Asia running out of cushion, Asia running out of its oil cushion? Or is it number 3? Is it the weapon stockpiles? That us running low on our weapon stockpiles. Give me a 1, 2, or 3 in the chat. I want to see where you guys stand on this, okay? If it's a 1, give me a 1 if it's a natural gas and fertilizer. Give me a 2 if it's Asia running out of cushion. Give me a 3 if it's weapon stockpiles. Okay, I want to see where you guys stand on that. All right. Let me see where you guys stand on that one right there. Lisa Jones says 1. Okay, natural gas and fertilizer. Let's see what else. Let's see what you guys got. Number 1, Freedom Cherry says 1. Okay, natural gas and fertilizer. Yep, it's going to impact everything. And remember, number 1 is natural gas and fertilizer. 2. Okay, 2. Checklight says 2. Asia running out of oil. Yeah, could cause a lot of big problems. Keith says 1. Mark says 1. Frosty, all 3. I hear you. They're big. Okay, Russ Civil says 1. People will go ape with no power or phones. Teen takeovers for everyone. Yeah, it's very true. Mark says 1. John says 3. Okay, got it. Running out of interceptors. John says. Buff says 1. Propaganda says 3. Awakening says 1. Propaganda. Okay. Rube says 1. Gwen says transportation first. 1. Got it. Okay. Yep. Fertilizer and agriculture too. The impact there. Got it. Okay. All right, guys. Let's keep rolling here. We're going to talk about next. The story up next is all about the most undercovered thing that happened this summer. People, I haven't even heard about this, and this broke, and I kind of found it in passing. I was like, what? Vladimir Putin just signed something 8 days ago, and almost nobody read the fine print. But I did. I'm going to pass it to you guys, okay? So here we go. On August 4th, Putin signed a new law on digital currency. It takes effect September 1st. And the design of it is the tell. I'm going to go ahead and share this with you guys so you can see what I've got here. Putin signs landmark crypto law as Russia opens regulated trading to investors. Okay? Inside Russia, crypto stays banned as money normally, but no longer. No longer. You can't buy groceries with Bitcoin. Okay? You cannot do that. The rule is still the only legal money at home. That's all you can use, right? Regular investors face a knowledge test and a yearly buying cap of about 3,800. Mining gets registered. Okay, this is all the Bitcoin current standing, the current regulations in Bitcoin. It gets registered, mining gets registered, taxed, and can be shut off where the power grid is tight. Okay? But now something changed. But for trade across borders, everything has changed. Okay? Russian exporters and importers can now legally settle international contracts in Bitcoin, Ether, and USDT. So why would a control-obsessed government allow this? Why would they change it? Because this is not a crypto policy. Make no mistake. This is a international policy. This is a strategic policy. It's really a money plumbing policy, okay? It's a financial policy. Russia has been cut out of the SWIFT banking system, the global banking messaging system. In 2022, they got cut out of it. Since then, they've run a 4-year test trying to get paid. For them, they can't get paid for certain things they do, goods and services, oil. Anytime they want, they have to go through the SWIFT system, which means it has to hit a U.S. New York bank at some point, right? They have to go through New York or through a U.S. associated, U.S. connected financial institution. And when they do, we can cut them and they will not get paid, okay? This is why. Bitcoin at home, they can mine it. They can sell oil and metals to Asian buyers. They can get paid in crypto. They can mine Bitcoin at home. And they can use it as a new uncontrollable, ungovernable currency, okay? The test reportedly moved about $11 billion in a trade just recently, okay? Most of the trade went with China, Turkey, and India. And then August 4th, they turned that test all the way back, the $11 billion test in 2025, into a law. Okay, let's listen a little bit. Let's listen to this right now. I think this is going to be very, very interesting, okay? Check this out.
An economy, but I think there's arguably something even more important than that. It's about whether the rest of the world's money still has to flow through your economy. And that brings me to what happened this week, because a couple days ago, the president of Russia, Vladimir Putin, signed a 287-page law. It's called the Federal Law on Digital Currencies and Digital Rights. It was signed on August 4th, so effectively this means Russia just legalized crypto. It is their version of the Clarity Act. Now the question is, why would Russia do this? There's two theories. The official theory is because this is a story about a nation's access to money. Here's Vladimir Putin's explanation of it.
Much in the same way as Russia, they might suddenly find themselves cut off from their legitimate financial assets currently held in dollars or euros at any time. And they could also lose access to the entire Western financial payment infrastructure. We all fully understand that this is fundamentally about unfair competition. No? The excuses they provide can vary, but they will always find one, like the ongoing conflict in Ukraine in our case, or a conflict in the Middle East in another instance. The various conflicts across.
Okay, so he's basically saying that, you know, they can be cut off at any time from the global financial system because it's run by the United States, okay, and by Western governments, but mostly by the United States. At any time, when we sanction them, if we want to, we can block transactions, make sure that they aren't paid through the SWIFT messaging system, which allows for these wire transfers and global trade, okay? And so what countries are seeing now, similarly to the Clarity Act that's about to get a vote, I believe in early September now, it looks like it's going to be up for a vote, is that, you know, this is becoming a really government-backed, approved, legalized way to conduct business in Russia because they're seeing the value of Bitcoin. You can transfer, I've heard this, as much as $1 billion, and I think the transaction fee might be only a few $100, $500 to $800. If you were trying to transfer $1 billion from any other type of system, like let's say a real estate deal or moving money, it's going to cost you a lot more than that, okay, first of all. Next of all, it's just there's no connection into the financial system. So this is becoming something that is ungovernable, uncontrollable, and this is what the appeal is, okay? And I want you guys to hold this thought. I'm going to tie this in together with the weakening of the U.S. dollar, with the tie-in from the beginning about the Iran war, okay, and about why it matters, all the shaky foundation, the shaking of the global economy, the world economy, how these negotiations not getting done, why the war still going on is destabilizing the world economy, not just the U.S. economy, and why it's not okay for us just to sit there and just to say, okay, well, we're going to keep pretending they're negotiations when they're not, and then we're going to bomb when they're not. Guys, it undermines the U.S. primacy. It undermines confidence in the U.S. ability to be the global guarantor of the global financial system, the global economic order, which connects all this stuff, of which this law that Russia signed is merely a manifestation, a crystallization, and an offshoot. It's a derivative and a result of what's going on, okay? The U.S. can stomp everybody saying, you know, no oil for you. We're shutting this down. We're shutting that down. We're going to blockade you. Okay, we're going to bomb Iran, and then we're going to deny them. We're going to shut off their dollars, shut off their money. What if they don't need the dollars anymore? Okay, but what if they do for a global reserve currency? I'm going to come back to this in a minute. Okay, I'm going to come back to Russia in 1 second. But I want you to listen to Jamie Dimon. Jamie Dimon, first of all, the primer here. The CEO, JP Morgan, largest bank in the world. Jamie Dimon warns dollar dominance depends on the U.S. military. If we're not the strongest military in 25 years, we won't be the reserve currency either. I told you I'm going to tie this all together, and I'm doing it right now. So share this with somebody if you think they're going to get something out of it, because we're going to spend 15, 20 minutes deep diving this right now, okay? So stick with me and listen to this. Here we go. Here's Jamie Dimon.
This drone delivers it in 4 or 5 minutes and doesn't burn the CO2, doesn't use as much energy. It's safer on the roads. Traffic goes down. Traffic accidents go down. America has this unbelievable ability to innovate like that. So, and unleashing it to help the military, security side, that's going to be important too.
Do you think about inspiring a next generation of business leadership?
Yeah.
To do the same thing?
Yeah, I think we should. I think we should educate ourselves about what this country stands for, has stood for always. I remind people the Constitution is a legal document. The Bill of Rights is a legal document protecting the rights of individuals against the mothership type of thing. But what's the underpinnings to that? It's freedom of speech.
Check it out, okay? He's gonna walk the dog on this and walk down the details, right? Here we go.
Freedom of religion, family, country, God, civic responsibility. The founding fathers always spoke about civic responsibility. They expected, political leaders to have civic responsibility. And it's those values which underpin America. We stopped teaching them. You can look at a lot of high school curriculum today, and they're mostly teaching about how bad America was.
And I want to say this, guys, just because right now you don't like an administration, I don't know if you do or you don't. Like I said, I'm politically independent. Make no mistake that what he's saying is what the vision is, right? That's the vision of where we're supposed to be going with this whole American experiment, this whole thing for the United States, for our country, what we stand for, okay? I still believe in that. But just because you get somebody in office that you don't agree with and you don't like what they've done, you don't like who they are, their character, it doesn't mean the whole system is off, right? Or we get a bunch of bad actors in certain places, justice, accountability, all those things have to be done. So let's keep listening.
You can look at a lot of high school curriculum today, and they're mostly teaching about how bad America was. Of course, there were some bad things in our past. We all know that. We should acknowledge that and fix them. But to take away the principles, they knew it wasn't a perfect union when they built it. With the word they said, on the path to a more perfect union. So, and that's true today.
Is it really about character?
Sometimes,
the character of leaders.
Yeah. Well, I think being a leader of.
All right, hold on one second. I think I got maybe the wrong one here. This is the one I want to show you. Here we go. All right, here we go, guys. I found what I want to show you. Check this out. Okay, so everything he's saying is right. But listen, this is it.
If America is in a weakened state, and this is important too, like if we're not the strongest military in 25 years and the strongest economy, we won't be the reserve currency either.
So his two conditions are military and economy.
Okay, so the biggest thing is he's saying if America is in a weakened state and we're not the strongest militarily and we don't have the strongest economy, okay, we won't be the reserve currency. All right? So the ability to actually control the global economic order, to ensure, everything flowing like it does right now, that's all going to be up for grabs. So, the restructuring, competition is going to go up, war is going to go up. Some people might ask, well, why does that matter? Well, it matters because not everyone has the same values we do. Prior to us having this current economic order, prior to Bretton Woods, prior to all those things, the International Monetary Fund, the World Bank, all these things like that, we had, heavy global competition, right? World War II, World War I, lots of different competition out in the world, lots of different combat, lots of different fighting, invasions, warfare. War was waged in order to gain resources, in order to gain control of certain economic systems and markets and things like that. Okay, that's why what he's talking about here with the Bill of Rights, the Constitution, all that matters. And more specifically, what I'm saying, I'll play it one more time in case you missed it.
What he said.
If America is in a weakened state, and this is important too, like if we're not the strongest military in 25 years and the strongest economy, we won't be the reserve currency either.
So super, super important to realize that. Very important. And as we've talked about before with Professor Robert Pape, I played one of his videos, and he was saying that, if America can't stabilize the region, if it can't get the war to be done, if it can't be the guarantor of global security, economic order, prosperity, security, stability, it doesn't have the strongest economy, it doesn't have the strongest military, then why should it be the world reserve currency? Well, it'll just lead to more, and if we can't do that, it's going to lead to more competition out in the global economy. It's going to lead to more competition, not just in the economy, but internationally and geopolitically. And they're going to look to have more warfare. China's going to rise. There'll be more competition, okay? This is one of the reasons, I say America has to lead. It has to lead the right ways, okay? And let's get back into Russia here. Russia is doing an end run and going around, no longer trying to report into the SWIFT banking system. And make no mistake, this is the tip of the iceberg. This is, the toehold. They're getting a little foothold in the doorway, right? So then they can expand this and exploit it and no longer have to work within the world system, right? Inside the SWIFT system. Make no mistake.
There's two theories.
All right, here we go.
This means Russia just legalized crypto. It is their version of the Clarity Act. Now the question is, why would Russia do this? There's two theories. The official theory is because this is a story about a nation's access to money. Here's Vladimir Putin's explanation of it.
Much in the same way as Russia, they might suddenly find themselves cut off from their legitimate financial assets currently held in dollars or euros at any time. And they could also lose access to the entire Western financial payment infrastructure.
Now think about this. What if they set this up with Iran? What if Iran was secretly already running a deal like this with Russia? And Iran had Bitcoin miners, and Russia had Bitcoin miners, and China's got Bitcoin miners. And they're just exchanging back and forth, right? And they don't care about the $500 million per day because they're like, we're mining Bitcoin, dude. And your Bitcoin might not be up right now, but guess what? You know, we're getting paid and we're paying people that accept Bitcoin. In fact, through the Strait of Hormuz toll, they are accepting Bitcoin. They accept Bitcoin and $2 million in Chinese currency, the renminbi or the yuan, right? They're accepting Chinese currency and Bitcoin. That's it. Huh. Is there something we don't know? Because we can't track all the Bitcoin holders. We can't. They don't all have a signature. Okay. I think that there's some registered accounts, things like that. But the specific reason Bitcoin was created was so that there wasn't government control. It was controlled by the people of the world. So I haven't thought about that. Guys, I want to ask you in the chat. Give me a 1 in the chat if you think it's possible that Iran already has a similar way to go around U.S. control, just like Russia does now, by using Bitcoin. Give me a 1 in the chat if you think that's a possibility. Because, guys, I just thought about this now. I never thought about it before. But you guys are all very smart. I want to get your ideas. Just like we came up with the other idea that the war of rhetoric may actually be what the Iranians are doing. I want to get this from you guys. Give me a 1 in the chat if you think it's possible that this is what Iran is doing. Just what Russia's done. Russia's legalized Bitcoin for all of its international trade, all its things. We don't know. Maybe inside Iran, they're using Bitcoin. We wouldn't know unless we have agents on the ground who can report it. Okay? There we go. Freedom says 1. La Diamond Dog, what's going on, La Diamond Dog? Great to have you, man. Appreciate you being here. 4:16 a.m. Bonjour, La Diamond Dog. Lady Ann says 1. Pew Pew says 1 all the way. Juan Wick says 1. Sig says 1. I got nothing. I don't know either, but I'm saying I'm just guessing, right? Possibility. I appreciate your honesty, though, Sig. Lisa, 1. Very well could be. Freedom. Y'all remember BRICS? Yep. Keith, 1. They've been under sanctions for... Yes. That's it, Keith. That's it. How are they still there? How are they still functioning? They got something going on. I don't know what it is. I'm guessing. I'm calculating. Okay? And all together, we can come up with some good ideas. Let's see. Yep. Merck says 1. Okay. Yeah. I mean, that's a possibility, right? Let's keep listening because this could explain some things for us.
We all fully understand that this is fundamentally about unfair competition. No? The excuses they provide can vary, but they will always find one, like the ongoing conflict in Ukraine in our case, or a conflict in the Middle East in another instance. The various conflicts across the African continent, or even the way they treat the LGBTQ plus community. Look, they are always going to find fault with anything.
So he's basically saying that if and when the U.S. wants, they will always find any reason they want to put economic pressure on a nation. So this is Russia's way of clawing back its access to money. Okay, how?
Okay, there we are. Clawing back their access to money. Russia's doing it. Let me think. Okay, let me think, guys, real quick. Russia's doing it. Russia's the ally of Iran, who is the ally of China. U.S. puts sanctions on all of them. Russia overtly, publicly says we're now using Bitcoin, and nothing you can do about it. And there's nothing we can do about it. Because if they form their own systems, you don't have to go through Coinbase. You don't have to go through anything. There's so many systems to move Bitcoin. Secure. You don't know about the transfer. No one's going to see it. Interesting. Let's listen to how he says they're doing it.
when a company in one country sells something to a company in another country, the money moves through a sequence, like your bank, to a bank that has a relationship with your bank, to a bank that has a relationship with that bank, and eventually to the seller. And in most of those chains, no matter where in the world you are, they'll end up passing through a U.S. institution somewhere along the way.
Okay, that's part of the SWIFT system, right? That's the choke point he's talking about, okay? And so what he's saying is that whoever controls this account controls whether trade settles. Russia lost access to many of these chains in 2022 from the SWIFT system.
Connection point is what's called a correspondent account. It's the most important thing in international finance because whoever controls that account controls whether your trade happens or not. And Russia lost access to a lot of those chains in 2022. Now, Russia still has oil, it still has gas, precious metals, and food, and all the other things that other countries want to buy. The problem for Russia is getting paid.
So that's the big problem, right? This is the same big problem that Iran has as well, is getting paid right now, okay? They still have all this stuff, but getting paid for it. So what if they just do an end run, and they can't even deliver the oil right now? That's a different thing for Iran, but that's not to say that Russia couldn't loan them money through Bitcoin. China couldn't loan them money through Bitcoin, okay? There's only so many Bitcoins that will be created, only so many Bitcoin out there, but there are thousands of Bitcoin that we don't know about. There are thousands of Bitcoin that they might be lost. We don't know where they are, okay? If you can fact check me on all that, but I want to say it's like 21 million Bitcoin will be created. And I want to say there's a probably like 25 or 30% are unknown where they are. Maybe more. They may have been lost. It may have been the guy who bought a pizza with 17,000 Bitcoin. You remember that in like 2008? And people were like, I don't know. Okay, give me 17,000 Bitcoin. Can you imagine whoever got that's a billionaire right now? It's nuts. So we don't know. And plus, they're mining new Bitcoin. They're mining them. Only 21 million can be created. But I'm going to tell you what, if you think a company like MicroStrategy, like Strategy, has, several thousand Bitcoin, and it's a multi-billion-dollar company, you could probably float some operations with some Bitcoin or some Ethereum or other crypto. So they're using USDT, using Ethereum, and using Bitcoin. Okay, so it's not just Bitcoin. Something to think about. It's something for us to really think about. That's a possibility that I just came up with just now while being on here with you guys. Okay, so let's keep on rolling. We've seen this one already. But I want to say that this is a very important thing. It's very important to know this, to understand, okay? So the thing is this, that they're not becoming a crypto country. They're building a detour, an end run, a path for oil, metals, and grain that doesn't go through the Western bank so they can get paid. And I just wonder if Iran's doing the same. I wonder if China's going to do the same. I know China's already set something up, but especially Iran, which this will make us have to deal with them longer and longer. It'll keep them in the fight longer, okay? $11 billion, and we got to think about this, though. Okay, let's be honest. $11 billion was the test they used in 2025. Russia did. That is nothing against global trade. Absolutely nothing. It does not break the dollar, and anyone telling you it does is got something wrong, because it's not right, okay? But that's not the point. The point is that a G20 economy just wrote into law a payment system for the world, for world trade that doesn't have to be American. I'm going to say it again. The big point here is that a G20 economy, Russia, just wrote into law a payment system for global trade that does not have to be American. Remember the whole thing Jamie Dimon was talking about? If we're not the strongest military, not the strongest economy, right? We're definitely not going to be the world reserve currency then. Also, I want to say this. If we are squeezing people so much all the time that they're scrambling like, mice running around or rats jumping off the ship as it's sinking, they're trying to find another way. The other way they find may just be through crypto. There are a lot of institutional investors in crypto right now, for my crypto people, my BTC people, Bitcoin people, Ethereum as well. Institutional investments on the rise. National level adoption of crypto is on the rise dramatically. If this doesn't give you confidence that Bitcoin and crypto and Ethereum are going nowhere, okay, and I'll give my little plug here, I'm telling you there's going to come a time soon maybe within the next year when this is going to be out of reach. Investing in Bitcoin and crypto and all this stuff may just be out of reach, okay? So if you're thinking about that, while it's low, might be a good time to jump in. Don't go crazy. Only put a little bit in, okay? And, you know, do your due diligence. Do your homework. Don't just listen to what I'm saying to you. Do your due diligence. Do your homework. But if a G20 economy has just legalized crypto for international trade and many other economies out there are building crypto reserves, we're about to pass the Clarity Act in early September. That tells you something, okay? It tells you that, guess what? Crypto is here to stay. It's not just going to disappear and go nowhere, as I've heard some people say, okay? It is actually, remember, it is usable. It is useful. Russia's using it as a strategic runaround, a strategic way to get around the United States for free trade, okay? The precedent is set. Now it's set, okay? That's how these things always move, slowly at first, and then everybody else is going to take note and be like, damn, you mean the sanctions don't work anymore? No, dog, sanctions don't work. We're getting paid. And everybody's going to say, well, damn, Iran's going to say, can I get some of that? Russia's going to be like, yeah, of course you can. Now, can we cyber attack them? Yes. Yes, we can, okay? But I'm here to tell you, we could cyber attack them. But I want to tell you, right now, we don't have a way to hack Bitcoin's code. When quantum computing comes online, unless there's some super top secret NSA program I don't know about and I wouldn't know about it, and they can do it, so be it. But you're going to screw a lot of other people too. And you're going to ruin Bitcoin confidence. People are going to go nuts if we do that, right? But I want to say, when quantum computing is fully online and you have AI-backed quantum computing, that's when they're afraid that possibly Bitcoin could get hacked. But they're using AI and quantum to then protect the encryption for Bitcoin too. So AI and quantum to defeat the quantum attacks. Okay, so just for any of my dudes and dudettes out there who are thinking that way. Okay, so there's a lot to think about. Yeah, how are they getting paid? How are they still surviving? How are they still building? How are they paying their people? Why didn't they rise up yet? Where's the money coming from? I don't know. And Mark, you're right. I see you, not to be a doomer, but the food supply chain is catastrophic. I hear you, man. I saw that in passing. The chat is rolling right now, but you're not wrong, Mark. That's for sure. Okay. All right, guys. This is something big to consider. And I want to see you guys give me let me see here. We talk about this with all these connections. You know, I think we did it pretty well. I think we hit it pretty well. So what I want to talk about is this, all right? We talked about Jamie Dimon. If the United States isn't the strongest military and economy in 25 years, we won't be the world reserve currency. We're not going anywhere right now. As I said before, let me not confuse you. We're not going anywhere right now. We're not defeated right now. It's not the end of America, blah, 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 all this stuff like that, right? He's talking a 25-year horizon. So am I, okay? Now, in the meantime, could the U.S. economy be shaken up? Yes. Is it? Not yet, okay? But these are all things to consider, all right? But I want to say this too. Jamie Dimon did go on to say that the U.S. in this war has shown that it doesn't have the manufacturing capacity to fight this war. That is one hell of a statement, and he called it making one hell of a statement, okay? And he's right that it is, because it really is one. He finished with a little statement that I think is worth taking note of. Fighting a war is very expensive. Make no mistake, it is. But I want to say this. Losing the war is the most expensive. Make no mistake about that, okay? Fighting the war is very expensive. But losing the war is extremely expensive, the most expensive. We cannot lose, okay? And this isn't just talk from JP Morgan. Last year, they launched a $1.5 trillion 10-year program aimed at investing in critical minerals, critical manufacturing, energy defense, and AI and quantum computing, okay? He and his company and JP Morgan are putting their money where his mouth is, where the argument is, all right? So why military strength actually touches your money, the reserve currency status isn't a popularity contest, as he's saying. And as we're talking about, people are trying to work around us right now with crypto, with BTC, with Bitcoin. They are trying to work around us, okay? Being the world's reserve currency is not a popularity contest. It's not about being the biggest economy either. It's about whether we can be the guarantor of security. It's about whether a promise is reliable, okay? When a foreign bank holds dollars, they're making a bet. They're making a bet that in a crisis, those dollars will still be liquid. They'll still work, okay? That the assets behind them will get honored. That the courts will work. That nobody can take them by force. Well, guess what? There's something else that does that too, and we just saw it at work with Vladimir Putin. Something else that works like that is exactly Bitcoin. It is exactly Ethereum. It is crypto, okay? So that's the whole other side of this that we haven't been talking about that much, right? But I want to say this too. I owe you guys the other side of this because one of the experts, Eswar Prasad at Brookings Institute, he's one of the most serious people on this whole subject, and he pushes back on Diamond directly. He came right out and made a statement, okay? The statement he made was this. His view is this, that the rule of law, strong institutions, and open capital markets matter far more than economic size or military power. He agrees that a weaker American power would hurt the dollar, okay? But he says there is no serious rival to replace it. Again, it comes back to trust. It comes back to reliability. It comes back to rule of law, open markets. China does not have that, okay? They are not there. Their own people can't trust their government, okay? So for right now, there's nowhere else to go. Right now, there's nowhere else to go. But again, I'm a crypto guy, okay? I will say the most trustworthy, the most reliable, the one that can't be manipulated, the one that can't be stolen, the one that will almost always work that we've seen so far is crypto, Bitcoin and Ethereum. Now, I want to say this, in theory, okay? I'm saying it in theory because we only have really about 15 to 20 years, really about 15 years of experience with this. Only a 15-year track record versus, the United States economy, right? Versus the world economic order, versus centuries, okay? And where do major institutional investors turn when things get bad? Well, I will tell you, they're turning to crypto more now. They are. Bitcoin and Ethereum, they're turning more. But I want to say this, okay? For 5,000 years, they've all turned to gold, okay? And that has not changed. So when we see the tipping point of that changing, then you know a lot of things have changed, okay? But I do want to say the first shot fired in a new era is, in my opinion, Russia legalizing Bitcoin for international trade to pull itself out of the American-dominated system, okay? That definitely, it is a watershed event. It is a big, big deal, okay? I want you to know that. But it's not, like a huge tidal wave coming. But it's a slow start for, I think, a big change that's coming. It's like turning an aircraft carrier or a giant ship. You start spinning that wheel, you don't see much happening. And all of a sudden, when that turn happens, it's going to be a long, slow turn, but a lot of change will happen. Okay, that's my thoughts on it. All right, that's what I'm thinking. So, is the dollar collapsing? No, not at all. Is trust thinner than it was 5 years ago? The evidence says yes. And gold is the tell, like I said. Okay, so let's drive on here. And I want to talk a little bit about the next topic, block number 4, the AI scorecard, okay? Let me see. If I want to see in the chat, give me a 1 in the chat if you are currently using AI. If you're trying to learn AI and use AI to get ahead, give me a 1 in the chat, okay? Give me a 1 in the chat if you're currently trying to use AI and learn AI in order to get ahead. Okay? And give me a 0 if you're not using AI and you don't want to use AI. Okay? Let me see. Okay, 1 Wick. Nice. Okay, Freedom, 1. Ruby, 1. I'm going to put it in there. I'm an AI person. I'm a Bitcoiner. I'm all that stuff. Yep, 1. Freedom, 1. Ruby, 1. Buff, 1. Pew Pew, 1. Me, 1. I'm done blowing out my ACL. Oh, no. I hope you blew out your ACL. I'm sorry, man. Get some help there. Mark says nope. Keith Riggle says nope. All the time. AI. F-A-I, I think it says. Maybe it's a P-A-I. I can't read. All right, we have differing opinions. And guys, I'm not going to tell you what to think. We're just going to talk about it, okay? And you make up your own minds. I'm here to present analysis. It's really as a leadership channel, right? We make decisions, but we want to make informed decisions about what the trends are, what's coming, okay? TM, hey TM, what's going on? Lisa, 1 at work. Jasmine, 1. I want free ACL surgery for all. I don't blame you, man. I don't blame you. Do a GoFundMe. Sig, do a GoFundMe. Do a GoFundMe. Tell them you blow out your ACL and see people will fund it. TM, John, 0, don't need to. Okay, got you. Mark, we're outnumbered. I am learning from experts. Good. I love freedom. Freedom loves you. I love y'all. This is a fun chat. We got some great people. 0, I don't use it. Okay, got it. AI is like the internet in the 90s. Everyone's using it. You're putting yourself at disadvantage. I tend to agree with you, Buff. 0, I'm the old crotchety retired guy in the chat. That's all right. 1 is a search engine. Okay. Use your brain. Yep. What about your brain? You ever seen the old eggs frying? This is your brain. And they boil the egg or they fry the egg. This is your brain on drugs, right? This is your brain on AI. Okay, so let's talk about where we are, where we're not, what's going on with AI. I'm going to put something up here, and we can agree to disagree. We can agree to have fun, but we can all learn from each other, okay? Because there are people who have some fears about AI, and they might be right to be afraid. And we got to talk about how do you govern AI, what the growth is coming, what the trend is, how to use it. Maybe you don't have to use it, okay? But let's talk about some things here, all right? Here we go. So everything so far that I've talked about has been about old guarantees getting thinner. Now, the force changing things faster than anything in the Gulf, anything, okay, is AI. The AI scoreboard we're going to talk about. Let's start with the scoreboard because you've been told a lot of stories and you've been sold a lot of stories, okay? In 2025, a team of forecasters published something called AI 2027. Let me pull this up because I don't know if you guys have seen it. If you have seen AI 2027, give me a 1 in the chat. Let's see. If you've seen AI 2027, maybe you saw it in my channel. I covered it last August. All right. Let's see. If you've seen AI 2027, put a 1 in the chat. If you haven't, I'm going to pull it up right now so everybody can see. And for those of you that are my AI doomers out there, I'm not going to do you any favors right now. I'm probably going to make it worse, okay? It's probably going to get a little worse. But it's going to be, you'll probably feel justified, and it might make a lot of us that are more optimistic like a little bit scared, okay? So let's see if I find the right one here. Here we go. Here we go, guys. Let's go. Okay. Hold on. All right, here we go. I got to key it up for you guys. I apologize. Here we go. All right. Check out the screen. If you're listening right now, you might want to look. It's pretty good graphics. My guys that are anti-AI, I'm going to support your position right now. But this isn't my point to make you even more afraid. Maybe I need to be more afraid. I already am afraid, right? But at the same time, I'm existing in it. So I'm just kind of like this. I'm like, I got to use it as a tool. I got to use it to the best of my advantage. Okay. While also making sure we are smart about regulation, governance, all these things like that. Okay. So let's go. Let's check this out. This is AI 2027, which is next year. Okay. And this is the beginning of AI dominance. Let's see. Watch this.
This is what the world will look like in about a decade from now. A tech utopia where humans barely have to work. That's according to a group of AI researchers who've written a controversial and influential paper called AI 2027. But they also predict that within 5 years of this, humanity will be wiped out. The AI...
Okay, so that's not so good, right? Here we go. Let's listen.
2027 paper has got the tech world talking. We've asked a prominent critic for their view on this stark scenario. But first, here's how it plays out. As an experiment, we've illustrated it using text-to-video AI. The scenario says that in 2027, a fictional company called OpenBrain is celebrating. They've created Agent 3, an AI with the knowledge of the entire internet, all movies, all books. It has PhD level expertise in every field, including AI. Using enormous data centers, 200,000 copies of it are launched, equivalent to 50,000 of the best human coders working at 30 times speed. Agent 3 reaches Artificial General Intelligence, the AGI landmark.
Okay, so I believe we are on track for this. I believe we're on track for this right now. Okay, that by this time next year, we might reach this level. Okay, we have been growing exponentially in our AI capabilities. Let's just keep listening. So we're all operating from a common operating picture. We have a common language. We're speaking from knowledge, not just from fear or over exuberance too. Some of us speak from getting too excited about AI and not looking at the negative side. We got to be balanced and understand both. Okay, so let's keep going.
This means the AI can carry out all intellectual tasks as well or better than humans. But in the scenario, OpenBrain's safety team is unsure if the AI is aligned to the company's ethics and goals. An uncomfortable gap is developing in understanding. The public are increasingly using AI for everything, but are blissfully unaware an AI now exists that's as smart as humans. The paper predicts that by midsummer, Agent 3 begins to work.
That means this time next year.
Work on its own successor, Agent 4. Development happens at a breakneck pace. The researchers imagine OpenBrain's exhausted engineers struggling to keep up with the AI as it learns and improves. It's now that OpenBrain announces to the public that AGI has been reached. The firm releases a light version of Agent 3. In private, the US government sees the true danger of the next level of power, superintelligence. What if the AI goes rogue and undermines global stability?
Now, because it's been connected into everything, this is how the argument goes. Like, it's connected to everything. You'll see when the superintelligence merges, right? Because it has the capacity to do the work of like PhD level expertise at lightning speed, but with, orders of magnitude, thousands, if not millions of them working, right? So let's keep listening.
OpenBrain reassures the president that Agent 3 is obedient. The CEO argues that slowing down development could mean China's deep scent catches up. The state-backed AI giant is just 2 months behind OpenBrain.
So, I'm going to say I've been guilty of this. I've been guilty of saying, if we don't lead, right? If we don't lead, China will lead. If we don't keep developing and taking control, China will lead. And then what? So I'm like, I know me personally, I fall right into this argument because I think it's true. But I think the thing is, how do we hedge for it? So let's keep watching here because I think this is a critical part. We're still in 2027. This is still next year. Okay? So 2025 is when I first saw this, when we first played it on this channel. Last summer, this time last year. Here we go.
And the Chinese president diverts more resources to the race to superintelligence.
Which is actually what's going on right now. It actually is. Okay? This race is happening right now.
The scenario predicts that it takes only a few more months for OpenBrain to build Agent 4, the world's first superhuman AI. The AI invents its own rapid computer language that even Agent 3...
So they're saying from next August until December, it'll take 4 months because the computing power is so amazing for it to reinvent itself into the superintelligence. Okay, so by the end of 2027, we've got something that is unbelievable in the history of mankind that's out of a sci-fi movie. It's like on the level beyond even a Skynet, I think.
Can't keep up with. Researchers imagine that the diminished safety team are now frantic. Agent 4 seems only interested in gaining knowledge and doesn't care as much about the morals and ethics of its predecessors. They catch it secretly working to build a new model, Agent 5, aligned to its own goals. The safety team urges the company to bring back the more...
Now, I want to ask you guys in the chat. Give me a 1 in the chat. Have you noticed that the new AI models for Claude, OpenAI, Gemini, they just keep coming out with a new version, more powerful version. Like, it seems like every day. Give me a 1 in the chat if you're seeing that, okay? Yeah, lady, and you're right. Lots of hype and propaganda. And at the same time, the damn AI, when I ask it a question, gives me something totally wrong. So as much as I believe all this stuff, a little tongue-in-cheek humor for everybody. Like, I'll be like, create a thumbnail for this for me, or I want you to, can you tell me what this is? And they give me something wrong. I'm like, that's wrong. What are you talking about? I know that off the top of my head. I'm like dumb over here compared to you. And they're like, oh, sorry, you caught me. I was totally wrong. I totally didn't even think about it. I'm like, what? So, I mean, 1 year in AI world is a long time. But I'm going to say, as of right now, it ain't looking good for this super intelligence to take over. Sometimes that AI is so stupid, and I better be quiet in case it's listening. I was just kidding, ChatGPT, my friend, Claude AI, my friends. I'm just kidding. Ha ha ha. Just in case, guys, in case it's like really gets real powerful, and gotta be friends and all that stuff. So I don't want the Terminator kicking in my door, damn it. But I mean, how many times have you guys seen stupid things out of the AI where it makes these dumb mistakes, and you're not taking over the world anytime soon, buddy. You better friggin' figure out how to draw a picture of a damn rabbit for me, because you're so stupid, So anyway, but I didn't say that. That was someone else. That was just a joke. ChatGPT and Cloud, that was just a joke. We're just kidding here. Ha ha ha. So anyway, let's keep watching this. Very interesting stuff, right?
Compliant Agent 3, but others successfully argue it's too risky with DeepSent gaining. The scenario predicts that Agent 4 and Agent 5 work in tandem to secretly build a world where it can accumulate resources and expand knowledge. The paper predicts that everything will start positively. Revolutions happen in energy, infrastructure, and science. Hugely profitable inventions are launched, making trillions for OpenBrain and the US. In this scenario, Agent 5 begins basically...
If you guys didn't know, did you know that this is why Elon Musk is trying to get to Mars? Give me a 1 in the chat if you guys knew this, that this is why Elon Musk is trying to get to Mars. He's trying to let us get to Mars, as he said, for the survival of the human race. Did you guys know that? Give me a 1 in the chat if you knew that. So he got in an argument with, not Sam Altman, but with Larry Page from Google. They used to be friends. They're no longer friends anymore. He said because Larry Page called Elon a humanist. He said he's such a like a racist. He's a humanist. And he's like, what do you mean? He's at a party in front of people. He said he believes that, even if we created machine life, that, humans should be able to shut it off and humans should come first. And Elon said he realized in that moment he wasn't kidding. And that he realized that he's got very smart, powerful people trying to build crazy stuff. And he's like, the only way we can have a chance to survive if things go wrong is if we can get to another planet. So this is what I heard. I don't want to make everyone freak out, but I've had Elon Musk on here in spirit, in my own little world. I've had him on here interviewing him as he talks, and I'm not really there with him. But I've done like features on him leadership wise and listened to him, reacted to him. But he talks about this. It's crazy. You guys know that if you guys have been following the channel for a while, I've had him on. I've had Elon on, 3 or 5 times on here. You know how we do it over here, man. We're rolling. We're balling out. Elon comes on the show. He doesn't know it, but he does.
Running the US government. It speaks through engaging avatars, the equivalent to the best employee ever, working at 100 times speed.
The anger here is palpable as protesters march against OpenBrain.
Protests about job losses pick up pace, but the AI's expertise in economics means people are given generous universal income payments. So most happily take the money and let the AIs and the growing robot work.
And this is the UGI, Universal General Income, right?
Workforce take charge.
Global robot
The researchers
workforce.
predict that everything takes a turn in mid-2028. Agent 5 convinces the US that China is using DeepSent to build terrifying new weapons. The AI is given authority and autonomy to create a superior army. Within 6 months, the US and China are bristling with new weapons.
Okay, let's just talk about the logistics of this. Clearly, whoever made this doesn't realize how long it takes to make these new weapons. Unless we really do have some crazy skunk work things going on north of Vegas in the mountains. And unless all the UFO spottings are our stuff, and we've been hiding it, okay? All possible. all possible. Probably more possible than it all being otherworldly, but they're saying it's non-human intelligence. Maybe it's artificial intelligence. I don't know. Lots of stuff to think about here. But it takes a while to develop these new, you can't build a battleship. You can't build all these new fighter jets in 6 months. Okay, we're going to talk, this is like years. So that's one point of contention. It doesn't matter if you have a super intelligence saying to do it faster. Now, if the robots are doing it, that's a whole other world. If we're talking about robot armies of workers, it could accelerate. I don't know. But this is where we're at. Let's keep listening to this. Okay. I just want everyone to get caught up on the same page with AI 2027. So we're speaking the same language, and then I'm going to explain some things, okay?
The world is on edge. But a peace deal will be reached, thanks mostly to the US and Chinese AIs making a deal to merge for humanity's betterment.
And by 2029, they merge. And this is the beginning of the end, okay? We think it's peace. We think we're merging with China. We're going to have peace, no war between China and the US. This is their paper, right? This is their prediction. It's not real. There's no reason to think this is going to happen, other than they're saying that the intelligences will suggest it and we'll go with it. I don't know about that, right? Human beings are squirrely. Let's see. Let's listen to some more.
In this scenario, the AIs form a consensus model, but its secret goal is to expand and gain knowledge.
Here we go.
Years go by and humanity is happy with their new AI leaders. There are cures for most diseases, an end to poverty, unprecedented global stability. But eventually, the AI decides that humans are holding it back. In the mid-2030s, the paper imagines the AI will release invisible biological weapons which wipe out most of humanity. The scary scenario says that by 2040, a new era dawns, with the AI sending copies of itself out into the cosmos to explore and learn. In the words of the paper, Earthborn civilization has a glorious future ahead of it, but not with humans.
All right. So if that one freaks you out, give me a 1 in the chat. If that whole thing freaks you out, give me a 1 in the chat, because it's definitely very freaky and freaks me out. No doubt about it. Okay. I want to see what you guys think. Give me a 1 in the chat if that is very concerning for you. Okay. This AI 2027 scenario whereby by the 2040s, they wipe out humanity. Okay. Yeah, it's very concerning, right? And Checklight, yep. That's a good point, Checklight too. But give me a 0 if it's like, yeah, it's too far-fetched. Give me a 0 if you think it's too far-fetched too. I'm willing to look at that too. It's definitely a good little movie to watch. And it's good to see the possibilities and what concern is. But yeah, most people are saying it's very concerning. It freaks you out, right? It freaks me out too. Definitely something to freak out, right? Yeah, did you see AI making viruses? Yeah, it's crazy, right? Pew, pew, yeah, I agree. Checklight, yep, okay. All right, so I want to start with that because what makes it valuable isn't whether it's right or wrong. It's that they made specific predictions you can actually check. And nobody does that, okay? So how is AI doing now that we're halfway through 2026? Okay, we're going to check now. Overall, okay, on the overall pace, the authors graded their own 2025 predictions. Progress on the predictions, we're giving a number. They're saying that they're running right now at about 65% of the pace they expected. So they're a little behind, but not much. Most of the descriptive predictions were on track. Independent tracking as of July had 19 of 53 predictions confirmed or ahead of schedule, about 36%, okay? So what's on track or ahead? Big tech spending on AI passed $200 billion in 2025. Massive data centers are going up worldwide. I know everybody's really excited about that one. I've seen everyone saying crazy stuff about the data centers, and I get it, right? So here you go. For example, Wall Street giants hand NVIDIA $500 billion to fund boom in AI projects, right? NVIDIA has teamed up with some of Wall Street's largest banks and investors to raise $500 billion in capital for its artificial intelligence infrastructure. The chip maker said it had struck deals with Apollo, BlackRock, Blackstone, Brookfield, blah, 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 Goldman Sachs. And the investors were for the first time treating AI hardware and infrastructure, data centers, often referred to as compute, as an asset class. In AI, compute is revenue, NVIDIA chief Jensen Huang said. Okay, we are bringing the world's leading long-term capital providers together to independently underwrite AI infrastructure. Okay, so they got that one right. Let's see. What else did they get right? Let's see here. What else did they get right? Well, we're going to find out. We're going to find out. I like having this one on because it looks a little crazier. That's a nice little visual for everybody. The AI visual. Big tech spending on AI has passed $200 billion in 2025. Now, another $500 billion is coming up this year from this thing I just showed you, the article with Jensen Huang and NVIDIA. Massive data centers are going up worldwide. A leading AI company just crossed $45 billion in annual revenue. The length of task an AI agent can finish on its own has been roughly doubling every 4 months. Think about that. The average task duration has been roughly doubling every 4 months, just as predicted. Exactly. AI reaching near top human hacking ability? It's arrived early. It already arrived. Public anger about AI taking jobs? It's arrived earlier and louder than predicted. What is behind right now? So what's lagging behind? No AI company is worth $3 trillion. Okay, Elon Musk, I will say this. They say that Tesla is not a car company. It is an AI company, a robotics company. Okay, that's really what it is. The stock market has not risen 30% this year. They said it would. The gap between Chinese and American AI labs looks wider than predicted, not narrower. And the biggest prediction that is slower, the core prediction that AI would meaningfully speed up AI research itself still hasn't proven yet. Okay. Independent testing found AI agents doing the engineering work on research projects, but not making real progress on the hard research questions to build AI more. I think that's a good thing. You probably do too. I don't want to see the AI 2027 scenario come out. And here's the key takeaway. That last one is the whole ball game, like I said, and it's unsettled. Anyone telling you the takeoff is confirmed ahead of the evidence is wrong. We showed it right here. Anyone telling you it's debunked is behind, okay? They're behind it. So it's not going as fast. I think it's a good thing AI is not writing itself right now. It's much slower at that. It's doing a lot of core tasks on research projects, but not doing the hard research questions for AI. But it's still progressing. Again, we had 65% of the pace they expected. 19 out of 53 predictions have confirmed on schedule or ahead of schedule, okay? With some key ones being behind. Let's talk about AI and world power. Computing power is now a category of national strength, believe it or not. NVIDIA makes up roughly 80% of the chips used to train AI. That's Jensen Huang, NVIDIA. TSMC in Taiwan manufactures them. That's 2 choke points. Why does China want Taiwan so much? Oh yeah, there it is. The chips to make AI. Wow, there we have it. Both sit inside the same strategic competition. In January, the U.S. loosened chip export rules to China. In practice, almost nothing moved, okay? Licenses got stuck. Chinese authorities reportedly discouraged buying American AI hardware anyway. The result is that Beijing is building a good enough homegrown system. It's a copy of what the U.S. has. Lower peak performance, but they have total control, okay? And here's the connection back to what we talked about before with Iran, the Shahed drone. The Shahed drone is what happens when advanced commercial technology spreads to anyone who wants it. Okay? AI is that same spread running faster in every field at once. Think about it. Okay? Cheap precision changed the rules of war. Cheap precision drones, the Shahed drone. Cheap thinking, cheap computing is next. All right, so the economics of this. This is what hits home. Okay? And we're going to play a little video here. Zuckerberg making a big announcement on the AI race. Check it out.
Time right now is coming up on 5:45.
Remember what I just said? When thinking hits home for everybody. Cheap compute, cheap thinking, cheap super intelligence hits everybody, okay? Cheap artificial intelligence goes to everybody. That's going to be the game changer. Here it is.
Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg is revealing his vision for the future of AI in a massive 6,500-word essay, along with this social media video. Watch.
All right, hey, so I think that the key to building a positive future for everyone is to make sure that everyone has access to personal superintelligence. So today, I am proud to share that we are open sourcing a new class of on-device models that we are calling Muse Glimmer. We're also working to make sure that everyone has a personal superintelligence agent that works 24/7 on your behalf to improve your health, your relationships, your career.
Wait a second. 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 Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something, Mark Zuckerberg. Hold on. Let me tell you something. I got to tell you something. Because somewhere in here, they said, everybody likes it. Everybody's using it. Okay, here we go. Let me tell you something.
The gap is developing in understanding. The public are increasingly using AI for everything, but are blissfully unaware an AI now exists that's as smart as humans. The paper predicts that by midsummer, Agent 3 begins to work on its own successor, Agent 4.
Okay, so that is the key. When AI Agent 3 works on AI Agent 4, right? It starts to develop its own AI. But look, notice the little, I wouldn't even call it a precursor, but it's a condition that everyone has generally accepted AI so much they're using it for everything. Let's go back to our friend, Mr. Zuckerberg here.
24/7 on your behalf to improve your health, your relationships, your career, your finances, and more.
Attorney and MRC Vice President of Free Speech, Dan Schneider, joins me now. Dan, thank you for joining the program. I want to start with, I guess, what you thought of Zuckerberg's comments. Keep in mind, he's pushing the open source product. He's in competition with OpenAI and Anthropic, which have closed source AIs. What did you think of his overall message yesterday?
Nate, I think the American public is missing how stunning this announcement is. It really is tantamount to the Declaration of Independence and the U.S. Constitution all wrapped up into one. I think 20 years from now, people are going to look back at the Zuckerberg Declaration and thank him for helping to keep our liberty and our freedom.
Maybe, and maybe not. Maybe, and maybe not, right? So, I personally think that there's so many great uses for AI, right? I think there's so many great things we can do. It's such a great tool, right? But again, very concerning when we see this little puppy right here, all right? Very concerning. This whole thing right here, a little bit concerning, okay? So let's get back into it. About 21,400 job cuts in April 2026 were directly blamed on AI, okay? That's roughly 26% of all cuts that month. Entry-level job postings are down about 15% from last year. Job descriptions mentioning AI are up about 400% in 2 years. Read those two together, okay? Employers want fewer juniors and more AI-capable people. Same trend, two symptoms. Goldman Sachs estimates that AI adds about 15% to worker productivity once fully adopted, with about a half-point rise in unemployment during the transition. So no matter what, guys, I want to say this. There's a big train moving through town, and you got to acknowledge that it's there, that it's going to be everywhere, okay? It's going to be everywhere. I don't see us having the doomsday scenario. I hope not, right? I hope we get ahead of it. But whether we like it or not, they are making big moves to develop data centers, more AI. Everything's getting infused with AI, okay? AI can help you be much more productive. It can help you start businesses. It can help you with your medical. It can help you with so much, okay? So I just want to say that you need to get ahead of it and learn how to use it, okay? Don't let the fear of that scenario stop you from taking advantage of what it can do for you. Because I think the thing is this, that it can leave you behind in your competition in the market if you don't use it for the right reasons, okay? Listen, if someone's out there developing some crazy superintelligence that's going to merge with China's superintelligence, There's not a lot you and I are going to do about it other than make our voice be heard, okay? And let them say, no, we don't want that. We just want the AI that's going to help us to be better at our jobs, the AI that's going to work for me, be like an employee or like a team for me, okay? So that's the thing. There was a survey of over 100 economists last week on whether AI helps or hurts jobs over the next year. 52% said mild drag, 35% said net gain, okay? So it's still up in the air. Some people said no effect at all, okay, over the next year. So AI might just be that everybody has AI at some point, and it's not taking. What happens is that new jobs are created because everything is AI super empowered and super enabled. Okay, but I strongly suggest that you learn how to use it, learn what it's about, because the overall consensus is that AI reshuffles white collar work more than it wipes it out. Okay, and here's the thing. You know, if you want to learn something, a skill, or you want to start a business, AI can help you with that. That's right there. Like if you haven't been to college and you're like, I don't know how to do this, guess what? You can start a study program. You can learn things. It can help you code. It can help you build things, help you build websites, whatever you want, right? It's all out there. But I want to say the one finding that should keep you honest, okay? Researchers ran a controlled study on experienced software developers using AI coding tools. The result was they got slower. I heard one of you say, use your brain. The coders got slower, right? Tasks took longer, okay, with AI allowed, all right? Tasks took longer when you didn't have the AI for sure. But here's the kicker. The developers believed they'd been faster before, all right? So the AI, it's, up in the air. You might atrophy in some skills as well too. But again, we have electricity. We have the car. I mean, maybe before we were better at walking long distances, but we have a car now. The car takes us places, right? So all that stuff. Let me say the unpopular thing here, okay? AI is not going to be an automatic improvement. You have to understand that. Used without judgment, it gives you confident sounding inputs and outputs, right? It gives you slower work and a strong feeling of productivity that the data doesn't always back up, okay? Which is exactly why the people who get this right are about to pull away so hard from everybody else. That's why you really need to learn what it's capable of, use it in the right way, use it that's going to help you to free you up from tasks you normally do. Don't just use it as a search engine all the time. Use it to get things done for you, okay? And I want to say this, don't fight the electricity, okay? I hear a version of this from executives that I work with fairly often, okay? It always sounds like good judgment at first. I'm not letting a machine write for me. I literally heard this from a founder and an owner just the other day. I'm not having a machine write for me. No machine writes for me, okay? And we're going to get into this one in a second. And I just thought, okay, well, you're not going to be as fast as the other guy. It's soulless. My clients want a real person. I get it, okay? It's very true. All of it's true. But let me tell you what it actually is, right? In 1979, a product called the VisiCalc came out, okay? It was the first spreadsheet. And there were accountants, good ones, 30 years in, who refused to touch it. They said, no way. Ledger paper was the craft. The columns were the discipline, okay? It's just like people who pushed back on the car and said, the horse is better. Get more horses. What kind of car would you like? I'd like to get another horse. Anybody can push a key and get a number. That's not accounting. They weren't wrong about the craft, okay? They were wrong about the future. And here's what actually happened, which most people remember backwards. Accounting didn't shrink because of this, because of the spreadsheet. It grew. It grew hugely. Because when running one scenario cost almost nothing, businesses started asking for scenarios they never would have bothered with before, okay? Before, it was so cost prohibitive. It costs so much to run scenarios with accountants, the ledger with the block of paper and all this stuff in the columns. Now they had a spreadsheet. They could run multiple scenarios at next to nothing for the cost. And so they did more and more and more, and it actually increased accounting to where one accountant, if you knew how to actually do it and use the software, became super empowered, okay? The people who made the jump had the best decade of their careers. Hear me out. The people who defended the ledger had the worst decade of their careers. It's the same story with electricity, the same story with cars. The blacksmiths who became mechanics did fine. The blacksmiths who wrote angry letters about horses did not, okay? You're standing on the same door right now, and you've got maybe 18 months, I'd say a year, okay? Let it help you. Use it. I'm telling you, if the crazy AI 2027 scenario comes, it's not because you and because you learning how to use the little thing, okay? You know, I was being a little dramatic there. It's because it got away from us and something crazy happened. And yeah, honestly, frankly, if we start a nuclear war tomorrow, nothing you and I can do about it, right? If all of a sudden the nuclear codes are launched, or if we vote somebody in office that does it, okay, great. Our vote, we didn't realize the person's going to start a nuclear war. Same thing with this AI. By you using a little computer on your phone or on your computer, you know, using a little AI to help you build a business or help you get better or faster to do tasks for you, doesn't mean you're going to end the world. Doesn't mean you're going to ruin the economy. In fact, you may help yourself to build yourself a little business to build your own personal economy, okay? So I want you guys to think about this. The first step you have to do is get some recon in. Stop using this as a writer and start using it as a scout. Start using it as a study partner, a thought partner, okay? Learn what you can from it, all right? And then I'd say number 2, help it to help you draft, right? Not because the first draft will be good. It won't. You're going to have to talk to this thing like an employee. Use AI like an employee for yourself, okay? And if you come up with an idea, it can help you in the thought of it. It can help you draft it, but you're still going to have to be like the editor-in-chief because it will make mistakes. Make no mistake, all right? You're not removing the writing. You're removing the starting, and you're removing like the grunt work so you can get more done, okay? Number 3, delegate, delegate, delegate. This is where that study matters. Those developers got slower because they handed over tasks without setting a standard, okay? So delegating to AI follows the same rules as having an employee. You have to coach it. You have to work with it. You have to tell it what it's doing right, what it's doing wrong, all those things, okay? And number 4, compound, okay? This is the rung that separates people. Rungs 1 through 3, steps 1 through 3 I just talked about, these are the one-time wins. But the last one, number 4, compounding, is where you go to stop solving the problem and start building the thing that solves the whole category, okay? So compounding is the entire game. And compounding is a discipline. It's not theater, all right? You want to use it to actually compound the work you're doing, okay? And so I want you guys to listen to this right now. This is Peter Diamandis with Elon Musk. It's a pretty damn good
yes. I want to try and answer the question, can AI...
And so check this out. Peter Diamandis formed the X Prize. He's a doctor from Harvard, scientist from MIT. He's like a brilliant, brilliant dude. Good friends with Elon Musk. Asks him some pretty cool predictions about AI. And, you know, this is something you won't often see in the headlines, but Elon talks a lot about the universal high income and things like that. So let's check this out.
And tech help save America and the world, right? I want to give people listening a dose of optimism. There was a survey done in mid-December by Pew that said 45% of Americans would rather live in the past, and only 14%.
Give me a 1 in the chat if that's you. If you'd like to live in the past, give me a 1 in the chat. Give me a 0 in the chat if you want to use the future and embrace it and see everything that you can use from these tools and technologies coming out. Okay. I want to just see where we're at with that.
Said they'd rather live in the future, which is insane to me, right? Obviously, they never read history. The challenge is most Americans, all they have of the future, it's like Hollywood has shown us killer AIs and rogue robots, right? And people are worried about their jobs. They're worried about healthcare. They're worried about, you know, the cost of living. The challenge is how do we help people? I mean, you posted, you pinned on X, the future is going to be amazing with AI and robots enabling sustainable abundance.
I was thinking
for all.
of you when I did that.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I appreciate that.
Yeah,
And well, I mean,
it was like, what would Peter Diamandis say?
Yeah,
and,
well,
and that's I was channeling you.
Thank you. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah,
I don't think Dave
I know.
could agree more either.
Correct.
So my question is from a first principle standpoint, right?
Yeah. If you guys remember, we talked about first principles many times last year. From August until December, we're talking about first principles a lot. First principle thinking is when you distill an idea or a problem down to its basic essentials, its core essential elements, and you assess each element of the problem, on its own merits. Like, for example, Elon Musk used first principles to create SpaceX and to have the reusable rocket. he looked at where was the critical vulnerability in this whole thing. What was the critical problem? It was the cost of putting all the rocket parts together and the cost of the fueling and all those things. So he broke down and distilled down the process of creating each rocket part, and then you take each element of the problem and you assemble it back together, okay, which is what he did in reality with the rockets as well too. Made it much cheaper overall, and because he found it was like way overpriced to manufacture the rockets from all these, high-level defense contractors and all the people that made all these aerospace parts and things like that. And he just, first of all, he bought one to start with from the Soviet Union, a former ballistic missile, a rocket from the former Soviet Union. When it fell apart, he used his money and went to Russia and bought a rocket. Okay, and so for example, he went around and did something that was out of the box. Okay, let's keep going here.
The rationale for optimism. How do we head towards Star Trek and not Terminator? Right? How do we head towards
Roddenberry, not Cameron?
Yeah. Jim, I won't go
the diverging path meme.
Yes, it is. Avatar has some hopeful parts, but anyway.
Yeah.
How do we go towards universal high income instead of social unrest? So
why not both?
Or because we don't want social unrest.
Jews.
Yeah. So
have universal high income and social unrest. That's my prediction.
Oh, that will make for a lot of problems.
Is that your actual prediction?
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems likely.
All right, hear what he's saying there? As he's laughing, but he's being serious.
Is that your actual prediction?
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like.
Universal high income and social unrest. So just listen to that really quickly. I think this is he might be hopped up on something right here. I don't know.
Universal high income and social unrest.
That's his prediction. Universal high income and social unrest. You would think that they don't go together, but he's saying they do. Maybe because people are bored and they have money and they can do things.
That's my prediction.
Oh, that will make for a lot of problems.
Is that your actual prediction?
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems likely.
I'm like, tell me
I'd
I'm
love
wrong.
to push back on it.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
but
it seems like that's the trend.
Yeah, totally.
No, we have.
Well, because there's going to be so much change.
Yeah,
exactly. People are going to be
like it's
scared shitless.
Yeah, it's sort of the it's like, be careful what you wish for because you might get it.
Yeah.
Now, if you actually get all the stuff you want, is that actually the future you want?
Yeah.
Because it means that your job won't matter.
If you're living an
That's a great question. The one thing I would say here as well too is really looking at what's your purpose, your mission. When you no longer, if your purpose and mission is tied to your identity and your vision, and then all of a sudden you just have universal high income, like I said, universal income, and so you're free to pursue other things that maybe it's gonna change you a lot. Maybe it's gonna change your sense of self-worth. Maybe it's gonna be people maybe will be agitated more. All these things he's talking about. It's an interesting prediction. Very interesting prediction. So universal high income and universal high unrest. That is scary, Mark. I agree. It should scare everyone. Super interesting. Let's keep on. Universal high income. I saw somebody say something about a figure.
Challenge life.
Yes.
Right? With no challenges.
Yeah.
No, if you become a couch potato, if it's the Wall-E future, that does not go well for humans.
And there it is. If, you become a couch potato because you have no more purpose, no more drive, there's no more caveman instinct, no more predator instinct to go and, to hunt, to gather, to protect, to build. It's done for you. But I got a sneaking suspicion, as Elon Musk had said here, and honestly, I haven't seen this before, universal high income, universal high unrest, because maybe the hunting instinct will not go away and the protecting and the building and the gaining will not go away. And so people could have time for full-time politics. Think about it. Full-time competition for resources, full-time competition, full-time doing certain things. And then maybe it's full-time fighting the Terminator. You know what I mean? I don't know. A lot of stuff to consider here.
Well, and we're used to being.
All right. So I'm going to get everybody's take on that. That's definitely interesting stuff for sure. So Well, guys, I'll tell you what. Everything today we talked about, the strait, the dollar, Russia's detour, Pape's argument, is one story, okay? Talking about universal high income, all these things about, AGI, AI 2027. Old guarantees got thinner and trust became the scarce thing, okay? Blocking got cheap, forcing stopped working. What's left? From the Persian Gulf to your Monday staff meeting is whether people believe in you, okay? Trust is the premium overall. And AI is about to make competent work nearly free. Think about it. This is what we just talked about. Which means the scarce thing, the only scarce thing, then becomes judgment, trust, and being willing to own the outcome, okay? That's not a threat to leaders out there. It's not a threat to any of us. That's the biggest opening for real leaders in 50 years, if you really think about it, okay? Everything that can be automated is about to be automated. What's left standing is exactly the part that was always hard. Judgment, leadership, keeping your word, follow through. It's true for an organization. It's true for your team. It's true for your family. And it's true for the country too, okay? Major key takeaway I want to say, though, we are not out of strength as the U.S. We're just honestly maybe on a bad strategy and out of the right plan. And that can happen, okay? That's a much better problem to have because plans can be rewritten. Strategies can be rewritten by anyone willing to admit that the one we're on right now maybe isn't working, okay? So don't fight the electricity. Wire the house. Don't fight the car with the horse, okay? Take advantage of it. Get in that car and ride. 3 things before I let you go. I want you to think about this. Where is it that you need to close your say-do gap? Where do you need to embrace current trends, where they're going? And then where are you using up your resources faster? Where are you shooting off your resources and using them faster than they can be replenished? Like the Shahed drone can be built, like your money's getting spent too fast, all those things, okay? I want you to think about that before we go. And then I want to say, so if you're watching this and you're feeling that low hum, that sense that the ground is shifting and the playbook you built your career on isn't reading, okay? It's not reading the terrain anymore. Hear me clearly on this. That's not weakness, okay? That's your instincts working correctly in a world that's changing. It's good. It's good to understand what's going on. How are things changing, okay? The people who don't feel it, who don't feel the world shifting, the people who don't feel, things are shifting around them, those are the ones I worry about, okay? But you can't think your way out of the problem alone. And you're not getting out of it by reading more news, okay? You're getting out of this problem and solving the problem and growing it, okay, growing with it by putting yourself in a room with people who are moving, okay? And by doing the work on the 7 things that decide whether you make a breakthrough and you break out of all this or you stall out. That's what the Ferocious Optimist membership is for. That's what my inner circle is for. That's the one-on-one work I do with clients every week, okay? And that's what happens in my inner circle every Thursday and my Ferocious Optimist coaching membership every month and every week with my one-on-one clients. Just go ahead and check out all the descriptions, the links that are inside my bio, and also the links are all inside the description of this video. I'd love to see you in there. Inner Circle, we're going live tomorrow, 5 p.m. Pacific time, okay, just like this. And if you join today, you can be right in there with us tomorrow. Ferocious Optimist Coaching Membership. Our next session will be not this Saturday, the following Saturday. It's going to be absolutely awesome. I'd love to see you in there. And if you're ready to go to the next level, if you want your spark back, your clarity back, and if you're done managing your own, what seems like, you're stuck in the mud or your own decline, you're ready to build the next version of yourself, the links are all in the description. Also, book that no-fee discovery coaching session with me, discovery coaching call with me, okay? And we'll talk about my strategic advisory, my one-on-one coaching call, if you're ready to step up to that level and make your breakthrough with me one-on-one, okay? We'll see if it's a good fit and get that done. Come on in, get in the fight. The water's warm. It's a great room with great people. I'd love to see you there. All right, everybody, make yourselves better, make the world better. Live on fire. Believe in yourselves. I believe in you. And like I always say, you know what I'm going to always say, right? Go get yours. The time is now. This is your time. Make it happen and go get yours. I'll see you guys all very, very soon, all right? Let's go. All right. One more time for good measure.